All right, and welcome back to another ENC Draft League breakdown with myself and a good friend Sigtrick.
Hello, hello, and welcome to season 3.
Pretty exciting. We're back to singles this time after another Sigtrick victory in the
Uh,
in the season two.
I, I don't know how I did it, to be honest, but I do what I can. I am happy that we're back to somewhat limited terras because open terra is just stressful. Like, and I know I put it to a vote for singles as well, and people turned it down. And I was like, you know what? Thank goodness, because I don't like having to worry about every single mon changing its type at like the worst possible time.
That's fair. Uh, I personally don't mind. I was fine either way, but I think it just kind of kept things
Sure.
simpler. And I didn't feel like learning uh a new system. So I was like, yeah, this is keeping it same. So totally fine with
Yeah.
me.
Like I
But
said, came down to a community vote, and I think it was pretty polarizing for the people who did vote. I think it was like 8-1 or something like that. So I mean, everybody was pretty in the ballpark of let the less viable mons have a chance to shine, which I think is kind of cool.
hmm but if you have anything, if you don't have anything else, want to get right into the teams?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
All right. First up, we got the Grifton Gulpins with Chuck Butter, the first overall pick, going to Iron Valiant. Um,
Yeah, that he certainly DM'd me before it because he's I'm maybe a couple minutes late, but I want this mon, and that was the mon on the top of my list. I'm sure I'm not the only person who had the top of the list. Obviously, Chut did, but yeah, immediate depression for me. But
yes,
amazing pick, obviously.
I know it was also the top of Connix's list, but he
Oh,
was
so no chance.
not worried about, or he was like not too stressed about it because he's like, that's a good chance I don't get it. Doesn't fall at five. I think it was five.
hmm hmm
Um, and he was right. But at
You
least
can
people
never
had backup
get that.
plans this time.
Sure. I mean, I we did first off. I guess this is up. I should mention earlier. I can't tell you how happy with everyone. This is the fastest draft I've ever been a part of. I think it's like 2.5 hours, which is like
hmm
long and far, like the or short and near the the quickest draft. And it was pleasant. Everybody had their picks. Very few times, even for myself, which usually I'm struggling like keeping track of the stream, and like then I have to think about myself on my turn instead of like when everybody else is getting a chance to think. So like even so, like it was very smooth. It was great. Um, yeah. Anyways, enough waffling, as the British might would say.
Yep. So otherwise, this team I think is a really solid like first core. I think that it's almost just an OU team. If you look at the top six. Uh,
The well, I mean, Umbreon, I don't think is OU anymore,
no,
but
it's not.
certainly
But
I do think it's one of the better Terra captains. It's obviously an
hmm
amazing wish passer. I don't think it has heal bell anymore. But it got toxic back with the DLC, which is very important for
yes,
Umbreon. If Umbreon did not have toxic, it would be way worse.
yes, but it does.
hmm
And then I think, yeah, and as a Terra captain, I think it was a great one. Obviously,
hmm
it's really hard to break through, anyways. So being able to change its type, that's it's pretty strong.
I had it in the very first draft I ever did. And it did so well. And I actually kind of wanted it for my dark type here. Obviously, it went round 5, so not something I had a chance to look at. Um, but yeah, I was considered one of the better rapid spinners. You got the Iron Treads,
hmm
which
for
also has
sure.
Switch Initiative built in, which is really cool.
hmm
Definitely one I would have picked up potentially if it was still there. Um, honestly, I say that I probably should have picked it up because like I wanted to pick up a steel type in round 2, but I just never get to use Scizor, so I picked it up. Anyways, we'll get to that later. Iron Tread's amazing. Actually, he got 2 steel types
Yes.
third round, so that was a swing pick, as a matter of fact.
I think you really want to shore up that fairy weakness, and psychic, I guess. But you really want to
Great.
pair Valiant with things that make it able to sweep. And so setting up, like, getting rid of the opposing fairy types gives it a really good chance to do that. 'Cause it's one of the best ways to beat it, I guess, is opposing fairies. And so having
Well, and
Heatran and Treads just really
I think
locks that
even
down.
more important for Valiant, and I think that's also a good point. But it's overall, I guess it makes sense that his team's really focusing on that first round pick. For a Pokemon, it's more frail, but more of like a glass cannon. You want those slow switch initiatives, and I think I'm pretty certain
Hmm.
Umbreon still has Baton Pass, right?
It should.
And then
Um,
obviously Rotom I had in season one, great slow Volt Switcher if you don't want to invest
hmm.
in speed. I mean, you can if you want. You can do all kinds of things with Rotom. Rotom's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's got the tools there to certainly enable Iron Valiant to go ham.
Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
I was mentioning slow initiative, and there's F and Cleavor like right after, which not the slowest thing. It's like 85
It
base
is
speed.
85.
Yeah. So I mean, middle of the road. But I think that Rotom's like 86. So, I mean, I'm kind of the same thing, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah. I think that Cleveland was another pretty strong pick. Uh, that's another like the team, even that week with Valiant, it still lacked a little bit of offensive pressure because Treads and Rotom are not the best. Like they're like okay for offensive
Hmm.
threats. Um, Especially now that Treads gets high horsepower, it's better than it used. Or I guess, no, I used Earthquake in this game or this format, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
But in VGC, it got high horsepower and became like a ton better because I'd used Stomp and Cantrip before, and that's just terrible. But
Well, and I don't know how good it is with I'm getting off track. I'd love to say how good it is in restricted format now that Miraidon's released, but anyways,
yeah, it actually sees very little play.
I
But for
figure it.
but I think it's neat. And then Heatran has a very great special attack, but it's kind of slow, and the and not being able to Terra, I think, kind of hurts it. Because really, a lot of mons can just tech a water move and just are naturally faster. Uh,
Right, and I mean both the steel types are clearly weak to ground, which makes Rotom even a better pick than we
hmm.
initially talked about for his team.
Yep,
Um, the defog, he has got two forms of hazard removal that I can tell. He's got defog in Cleavor, and he's got I think Brambleghast has Rapid Spin, right?
it does.
Yeah.
It
So I don't know how good Brambleghast actually is. I haven't seen anybody kind of pop off with it.
I
I
don't
know
think
in
it's
BGC it does
great.
like tailwind things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. Well, excuse me, he's got. I don't know why I'd said two. Obviously, the Iron Treads. So really, I guess he was looking for like a cheap grass option. I don't know how many points it was, but yeah, he's got Iron Treads there. So I mean, right on round two, he hit the checkbox for having a rapid spinner that you actually want to bring to the game. That's
Yes.
an important thing. I think we'll talk about that with a few other teams. Is
Hmm.
yes, it's good to have hazard removal. You also don't want to force yourself to bring trash to a game.
Hmm.
So
Yep. Um, I think that this team kind of like falls a little bit more apart in the bottom four picks. I don't love most of them. But I think only having 10 mons is going to make it easier to prep for. And he did kind of like pigeonhole himself into making it like really offensive team around Valiant, but I think it's still pretty good. And some teams just aren't
yeah,
going to have a way to deal with it.
the I see your point about making it yourself a little bit more unpredictable by having full 12, but there's also like another end to that argument, right? Where like you don't want to water down some of your lower picks by just like trying to fill out the roster.
Yeah.
I kind of did that in season one where I did a full 12 and then like towards the rest of the season I like traded out and I ended up like 10 at the very end.
Mhm.
Um, but you said you didn't like the bottom of this roster. I actually, at least in Gen 6, I really liked a Choice Specs Noivern. It has U-turn. I love having Switch Initiative on a fast mon, but two, a choice item mon, just to give you that option. Um, so I think Noivern might surprise you. The obviously fairy types are more, more and more have been released since Gen 6. So
Mhm.
not might be a little harder for Noivern than it used to be. I know Farigaraph's got like the weird it does what agility and then it does like the stored power calm mind like shenanigans.
Yeah, I've
People know
also
what it
seen
does,
yeah, I've
but
also seen specs on it. I've seen some like bulkier sets with Cudchew. Uh,
yeah, if he had a grass weakness, which he doesn't really, I could see you like maybe using it like once in a while for like a sap sipper like switch in, but not really here.
yeah,
He's got plenty of like 4 times resistances to grass. And then you have like the pincher in, which I get it.
Pincurchin.
He's got two. Oh, pincher. Man, I'm not gonna mess that
Yeah,
up
yeah.
twice. But the he's
I
obviously
think
got two future
Pincurchin's terrible.
paradoxes.
I think it's
It
just
is.
so
It
bad, but
does have some. It has some cute stuff, right? So you throw it
yeah,
in there. Obviously, you throw it in with a train extender, and you do like spikes or it had a few other things like scald, I think. But
it does
like
get scald. It
it,
gets sucker punch. Spikes and talking spikes.
it's
Oh,
there to die and set up electric terrain, and I don't know if there's enough value add, but it's a cute little like I have it. I don't know how many points he
hmm.
actually spent on that mon.
I
Um,
that's what was it? Let me.
A 5. He spent 5 on it.
Yeah, I thought that was too expensive for it. I know whenever I
Fair.
was looking around at some, and I was like, oh, how much is like incursion? It's like 2 or 3, and I was like, maybe I'd do it for 3, definitely for 2. And then I saw it was 5. I was like, no way, not touching that thing with a 10-foot pole. Um,
Well, you don't have any paradox mods if I remember, but
no, but this was in the prep phase.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess the one thing we should talk about here is the Terra Captains. We already mentioned
Yes, yes.
Umbreon, amazing mon. We have Poison and Ghost. Ghost probably is like an anti-rapid spin kind of tech.
I think it's just to
Poison, I
get rid
guess,
of
resists
the fighting
fairy and
weakness.
fighting. Well, yeah,
Hmm.
and I guess that's also the point of fighting because it does resist 2 of them. Actually, all 3. Fairy? No, wait. Fairy, fighting, bug. Yeah, resists all 3. So poison's obviously great in that regard, and yeah, like I said, Ghost does also resist some of those things. It also gives you a spin blocker. So
Hmm.
I agree with those. I mean, Steel I think would be very cool for him around, but he's already got 2 Steel types, so not necessary.
Yep.
And then for Airgraph, we already mentioned what it did. It kept the Psychic obviously over the normal.
I actually
Fairy
disagree with that one. I
typing,
think normal is a lot better.
really?
Yeah. So and here's why. So hyper voice is like one of your like can be one of your stronger moves, anyways.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
and also you become a much better defensive typing. And that's what I think Fergraph really wants to do. Like they want to like preserve that more because you want to like get the agility and sword powers but stuff, but you also like you still need to be able to take hits because you're not always going to be one shotting things. Um,
yeah. I mean,
so I
you just have to look at your opponent that week. I mean, that said, I think maybe he this might have been a case where you wanted both your stabs to be one of your 3 because obviously the 1.5 for sword power is also kind of nice.
mhm.
But
Yep. I think
um,
yeah, normal over fire could have been pretty good. I think, but fire
yeah,
still is decent. Um,
yeah. Now looking at this team overarchingly, I mean, what is it missing? We have hazards, we have hazard removal. He's got good Swish initiative. He's got, let's see, what are his speed mons? He's got Valiant. He's got Noivern. He could use a little bit more. Well, no, I mean, Archer is pretty fast. He's got decent speed.
mhm.
Any priority moves? Like
Not
quick
really.
attack?
Yeah, quick attack from
Not really.
Umbreon and sucker punch from Pincurchin. I think that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And then like defensive core. He's got a good defensive core with Rotom and Umbreon. I like that. You got a Wish Passer. Rotom's bulky, slow initiative. So I think it's a pretty well balanced team. I like it. I don't know. Final thoughts on it?
yeah. I think the top 6 are really strong. I think I don't love most of the lower tier picks, but that's not too bad. That's one of the better problems to have. I think in terms of if you can be creative within your like big 6, I guess. I think you get a
Mm.
really good, a really strong draft with this. But it kind of depends on hinges on that. How not necessarily like you have to be creative, but like how much can you mix it up so that your opponent doesn't always know what you're bringing.
I wish your team was next because what you just said, I wanted to use as a segue because you said something about the first 6, and I was like, that's something you could say about everyone's team, but I think yours is one of the exceptions where you kind of you saved a lot of your powerful picks for the end of the draft. So your first 6 are kind of like maybe more lower tier in some of those mixed
Yes,
in, but we'll get to you. That
different draft strategies.
yeah.
All right. Anything else for Chut Butter and the
No, I
Grifton
think I like
Gulpins?
I no, I think it's solid, and yeah, we'll see what he does with it.
All right. Next up, we got the Chicago Beartics. Um,
This is a good looking team. It's nice to look at.
it is very colorful. I do like it a lot. There's nice color synergy there. A lot of blue. It's not entirely blue, so it's
He
got
made it
some.
more blue because I let him have the choice
Yes.
of the floor just in the squawk ability. He's like blue, blue. I'm like, all right.
But this team is I like it like, quite a bit. I think it's very solid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Chiyu's obviously is really broken, and then being able to get Chiyu and Ogerpon, I thought that was pretty crazy. One of the negatives of draft sometimes for Ogerpon is that it can only Terra into water, so not having to worry about that because you can't Terra anyways. Getting into
Mm-hmm.
I think it is pretty good value there.
The
Um,
yeah I mean Ogerpon Chiyu obviously both great mons. Immediately for his 2 first picks, he has 2 pretty fast mons. 100 base Chiyu, not the craziest speed,
and
but still
a fire water grass core right there.
Firewater grass core. I've always kind of debated that in my head. Though, like, does it really count as a
No, I
firewater
don't
grass
think.
core if 2 of them are on the same mon? Because you lose those like resistances, right?
Yeah.
but I mean, in terms of offensive pressure, yes,
Coverage,
they
yes.
are right there.
I'm a
Um,
big Glamora fan too.
oh, I know. I think did you draft it both seasons?
Yes, I did. Um,
Okay. So was this a bit of a heartbreaker for you? Or were you just trying to get some new mons?
uh, no. It was one I had like around. It was one I was thinking about, but never like really. Yeah, I didn't think it fit too well on the team that I wanted to go for. Um,
Okay.
but if it had like fallen down, like fallen to the end, I might have still taken it.
I mean, you were building
If
sand, and it fits that bill, right?
it
So
does. It Assault Fest and Sand can make it live 3
I,
Rotom Hydro Pumps.
that was a surprise. Let me tell you, I hit the hydro pump button. I'm like, this was not worth the energy ball. I should have volt switched.
But yes, a lot of these mons are just mons that I they really like, and I think it comes together really well for like offensively for sure. Not too confident in it defensively. I think it really
he's
lacks
got
physical defense.
he's
Um,
got some regenerator shenanigans going on there with the Tornadus, not the thickest mon like you said.
mhm.
Special side, he does have the Florges.
Gorgeous
And
and even like Altaria is decent. I guess it can cotton guard for physical defense, but I don't know
now
how good
that was
that
an
is.
interesting
Ogerpon,
round 5 pick. I didn't
good specialist.
expect, but I guess he wanted that Terra Captain pretty bad, I guess. But
Mm-hmm. Terracat and being able to shut off opposing weather because you don't really have your own weather is probably
oh, it
pretty
has
nice.
Cloud9
It
or whatever.
does.
Okay, I mean that's only why it's on the field, so it needs to be the one to do
Hmm.
something while the weather's shut off.
Yes.
But
Um, but I think it's an interesting pick. I just like it. I'm a big Gen 3 head, so I see Altari and I bat chest. Um, but
well, we'll see what it does. I don't know what Glimmer does. I mean, not Glimmer. Sorry, Altaria
Altaria,
does. I know it has Dragon Dance. It's got like what's the cotton down or what's the one
uh,
that gives you extra defense?
yeah, not Cotton Spore. Or maybe
Cotton
it's
down,
Cotton
right?
Spore. I don't know, but the cotton move
Either
that
way,
raises your defense, that drastically raises defense.
it doesn't have
Um,
body press though. I assume.
no, I don't think
Okay,
so. I can look
that would
that
be
up,
weird
but
for it to have. It'd be good
it
for it,
would.
but it'd be weird for it. Glamora obviously an amazing at removing hazards and setting up hazards as they build it. It puts up the toxic spikes. It also gives them his own poison type to clean up toxic spikes. So Glamora, role consolidation. I think that's a very important thing in draft, and Glamora definitely is like very valuable in that sense. Um, Zapdos, great mon. I had it season 1. It's fast. You just throw a scarf on it. It has 2 base 120 stab moves.
Hmm.
And now it has knockoff, which I didn't get to use, but that's really cool. Lecky, you get some screens, you get another form of hazard removal. If your opponent doesn't have a ground type for some reason, I mean, you can throw some damage boosting items on there and just kind of swing.
Hmm. You can. Transistor, even though it got
Espeon,
nerfed in this generation, still broken. Um,
no, I mean, it's still
I love the
1.3.
Espeon pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a threat, right? Like your opponent like has to respect it because they can't just like
Hmm.
willy nilly throw out hazards, or they're gonna make that call out, right? And it's also on you as the person who has the magic bouncer, like not to be super hard reading into like, oh, they're gonna throw a hazard. I need to throw out my Espeon. Oh, it got hit
Hmm.
by a a truck.
U-turn or something like because
Oh yeah, well yeah, exactly.
but yeah, overall I like this
Uh,
team. Um, I don't. I mean, Fampy is not a. Is like that's a meme pick
it's a
mostly. I
joke pick.
think.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean it's the
it-
fourth elephant, right? So not including
yeah.
this Caparaja or whatever family, because I don't think any of those got picked, but.
Hmm.
The he's got a ghost in there. I guess he picked up the last minute for a spin blocker. I don't know how
Uh-huh.
good Dusclops is in
Um.
singles,
Yeah,
but
it's interesting. You can do like Will-O-Wisp Pain Split to keep it alive. Um.
yeah, I
Uh.
feel like knockoff's so
Eh,
prevalent nowadays. Though it's probably not the best
yeah.
format for it.
I would agree,
Um,
but it's
I know
not.
nothing about Squawkabilly, so
Squawkabilly is kind of just Staraptor light. Um.
Mhm.
It gets intimidate if you need that, or and I believe it also has reckless, but it's just got worse stats than Staraptor. But you just brave
I,
bird or double edge depending on who you want. Throw a scarf on
I
it if
I
you want.
I learned a weird thing about this mon that the color dictates what third ability or something that it has, which is
Yes.
neat. But I did not know that until like last week. So
Yeah. In the multi battle league that Connix and I are in,
Mhm.
each Squawkabilly form is separated as a different Pokemon. um,
Oh wow. Are the
because we want
Articarios also?
yes,
Ah,
Oricorio
okay.
is it's always standard to have them as different Pokemon in VGC. Um, but yeah, and every Pokemon that has multiple forms except for Oinkologne was separated because we're doing a fun thing with that one. A little bit of tangent here, but where you can have species clause in it as long as they're not on the same like this is multi battle, so each player has different Pokemon, so you can have two on the same side. We have both forms of Tornadus, so I think it's me pretty.
Okay.
Anyways,
Okay.
back to singles. I think it's a good it's a solid like really low tier pick, Schwakabilly. Um,
Okay. Well, I mean, overall, he's got amazing speed. Like you said, you
mhm,
didn't like the defensive core. I think it's okay. Obviously, not the thickest. He does have some wish passing. He's got some regenerator, so he can kind of work. If he loses if he gets knocked off, he's got a few mons in here pretty vulnerable to knock off. Um,
mhm,
Terra Captain wise, obviously he picked up the Altaria early. I guess he's expecting to do some stuff with that. Get to defensive typings and then Dragon for the stab. And then Quackabilly, Dusclops. I don't have too much more to say about those two.
mhm. Yep. All right, we can go next. We got
All
the
right.
Oak City Obstagoons next. Um,
No, this guy, no one said anything about it the entire time, but he has a very clear rain team. I don't think he was ever called out on it until after the draft.
um, I mean, I saw people, heard people talking about after the Pelipper and then the OTPR Chaladon got picked. Um,
Okay.
but not too much. I think that I am a lot lower on this team than I think most people are. I think saw somebody say, "Oh, um, Boko's just drafted an OU team." And I think that's kind of true, but I also think that's not like the best in draft. Um,
Well, you know
because
what it wants to do, right?
yeah,
And
and Dragon Bolt's just good on
I'm
its
with
own,
you.
so I like that one. But
Hmm.
I think that this team it will struggle with being out like built because on its own it's like it is going to you're gonna have to be creative yourself because the team does not lend itself to creativity um in the same way that like a more balanced team would. Also, I know he got Clodsire. I think mostly said partially said it wouldn't be used against him, but like this team has two electric resists, right? like
That's much better than the rain team we saw in season one.
that's
It
true.
had like zero electric resistance. It was a problem for it.
uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, well, you're right. We have Volt Absorb and we have just a ground type. So that's good.
Hmm.
I think one of the things that stands out to
Ice
me on
Dragon
this
Bolt's
team
also a
is
resist, but not really.
yeah, it's not Thickmon, but
Yeah.
something that stands out to me here is there's no hazard removal, right? I
Um,
checked. The Pelipper doesn't have defog.
yeah.
So I mean, unless I don't know something, it just doesn't have any.
Maybe our Chaladon gets Rapid Spin because like, but that's the only thing I could think of. 'Cause nothing
I
else
don't think
does.
so. Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, like his pet, he's gonna be forced to either run heavy duty boots on other things, or he's got a couple of flying types that are like his round
hmm
2 and 3 picks that are just gonna get like chiseled away.
yeah,
Um,
and
it also makes him vulnerable to sticky web. So I mean, if, outside of his Swift Summers, and I should be clear when I say this is a lot of people drafted sticky web this season, including him. He's got the Masquerain right there.
hmm
Um, so I do think Hazard Removal might come back to bite him a few games.
yeah, I think it's totally valid. Also, the five water types, is like just kind of really consolidating your, especially when a lot of them are offensive. It's like
Yeah,
consolidating your offense into a pigeonholing yourself again.
base
Um,
5 actually. So
yeah, yeah,
I mean obviously the Marsh Top was a mudkip and it was like a 1 point joke pickup.
yeah.
And then I don't know what Klotzer does other than like hit boost pulse moves and like Masquerain obviously is a sticky web tech, so you're not gonna see that probably every week. Um,
I think Clawitzer
he's
with
got
sticky web support is actually really good. Um,
yeah, I could see that. I could see
it
that.
hits like an absolute truck. Um, I've had it before in a draft league. Even like you s- most of the moves that it's using, like the pulse moves, are really high powered on their own already.
Mhm.
Everything but water pulse, pretty much. So that was a decent pick. I like that one. Um, one other thing that I don't love about this team is the Terras. I think that uh, I think Ludicolo was fine, but I think Masquerade and not going Ghost and Marshtomp, I think those were just not good Terra captains.
Well,
Um,
again, Marshall was 1 point. So if Ludicolo and Masquerain, let me see what they totaled up to here. Ludicolo 6, Masquerain was 5. Okay, so I mean there was still well, actually he didn't have anybody else that could fit. So I mean Marshtop's whatever, I
mm,
guess. But
yeah, I guess, but why Terra Ice? I don't know, but
yeah, I don't either. I don't think we're going to see it show up,
yeah,
so I'm not too
that's
worried
fair.
about it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fault him for that. So I think we talk about Masquerain. Like, what would you have liked to seen there? So you said you wanted
um,
Ghost.
yeah, I want to go. I would want Ghost for sure. Um, as like being able to spin block on your own with your webs, because that's like, I think pretty
That's true.
important.
Yeah.
Uh, as well as I like last season one against List, I ran fake out just for Masquerain to like break the sash and then be able to kill it the next turn so it couldn't get
Oh
webs up.
yeah.
And
Good point.
so like just being able to do that to go Ghost there and not have to worry about it. Um, but
No,
yeah.
I hear you. No, I think the Ghost is definitely a good idea for sure. Um, otherwise, Steel's a fine defensive typing.
Hmm.
He does have a Steel type part in the team, but I mean, it's okay to have two.
Yeah, Seal's the best type in the game, so it's not that's not bad. I would
Yeah.
probably go
And then
Ghost over
obviously,
Electric. Um,
okay. And then let's see, Ludicolo. He chose the water and grass. He chose both, which is fine.
mhm,
And then again, the defensive Steel type. Obviously, Ludicolo is a great swift swimmer. It's your grass type. Obviously, this team being a rain team doesn't have a fire type, which I guess is understandable. I'll give that a pass. Um, and then he has another swift swimmer in Barraskewda,
mhm.
which is already really fast. But I mean, nothing
Yeah, I don't
beats
know how much
speeding you.
Barracuda needs Swift
Yeah.
Swim, but
Well,
like
and
it
what's the
has
other
it, so
ability? It's like it has an
it
ability
it
that ignores redirection and then
yeah, and
something
that's
else. I thought.
um I think I don't know, it might just be those two. So I guess like Swift
Okay,
Swim is the only thing you would use, but like it
right.
doesn't benefit as much from it because it's already so fast.
Did it get flip turn? Because I'm gonna like it a lot better if it got flip turn.
Yes, it does have
Okay.
Flip Turn.
All right. I love a fast. I just love Switch Initiative, man.
Yeah.
But okay. Obviously, let's see. What have we knocked up? Archilodon hitting the big electric move in rain. It's pretty standard, like you said. And then poor Zach. I remember him screaming out in pain when the low kicks got picked up. I don't know what low kicks is, but dark bug. So I mean, it gives him a dark type. Um, which is important. His main pick is a ghost. And he doesn't
Hmm.
have any other dark types. So I mean, that's a pretty economical pickup, I guess, if you needed a dark type. Um,
Oh, that's a other thing I've noticed. Outside of Clodsire, this team just cannot take a Moonblast.
Um. Oh, because our child is it? Wait, yeah, our
It's
child's
Dragon.
physical
It's
defensive.
Yeah, its special defense is
Yeah, okay,
terrible. Um,
okay.
and a lot of monsters are just frail in general.
So we could
Um,
see a fairy type. Well, I guess he's got. Yeah, I mean, I guess Terra Ludico is gonna be his best answer to a
yep,
fairy type. But yeah, I see what you're
and
saying now.
Clodsire. I think Clodsire is pretty good for that, but again, it's got
Okay.
better physical defense, and special defense as well. So like,
Yeah.
even though it will take a Moonblast pretty well.
Let's see. Clodsire gives him Stealth Rock and Toxic Spikes. I don't know if he gives him regular spikes. But like we said, the hazard removal is not there.
Hmm.
Switch initiative. Pelipper. Does
It
Pelipper
gets
get
U-turn.
U-turn?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty certain Pult
Yes.
does.
All
Okay.
right. It should. I think
Uh,
it used to get U-turn at least. I don't know if it still does. I would assume it does. Um,
let's see.
and then Volt Switch from Thunderous.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's got plenty of speed. I'm really just assessing speed here, and he's got Swift Swimmers, and he's got
mhm,
um. But yeah, I mean, a lot of teams I think are be looking to take out that Pelipper, and then they're probably gonna like tech on like Sunny Day or something to like disrupt
mhm.
the strats.
I
So yeah,
agree.
I mean, very clear, go-to plans to try to interrupt this team.
Mhm. But I don't think I don't think this team is bad. Which is
No,
I
absolutely
spent
not.
like a lot of time like criticizing it, but I think like the Dragapult like is going to go crazy. I think Lokix was this really solid pick to pair with it. Um, but yeah, that's all pretty much all I have to say for that
Okay.
one.
Yep.
All right, next we got Red Oak Raticates, um, King
Okay.
Thomas. This team was after draft night. I think that
I
it
had a
might.
talking.
Yeah, it was.
I had a talking.
Let's just say that this team is much improved. The one that you're looking at now. Um,
I don't know if you want to drag the trade channel onto your screen that you're recording from just to show how much changes there actually were, but that might be a productive thing to put up there. But
let's-
yeah, I mean, so I did help change up this team, so I will let you heavily lead the discussion on this, and then I'll try to defend some things. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's not perfect, but yeah, go ahead.
I guess there were 7 changes. Um, from the original draft. I think it's
Two
better.
evolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, before we had Chansey instead of Blissey just for no reason. They were both available. But anyways.
Well,
No,
and if you're playing from like a different game, a different meta, it does make sense. But with knockoff being so prevalent, it does
and
make
not
sense to have Blissey
and
be
not
up
being
there.
able to wear have boots.
True.
Um, but yeah, I think this team is uh not as Gen 1 pilled as last season.
True.
Or
Well, it
but
was Gen 4 and below
yeah,
is what
Gen
it
4
was
below.
last season. So.
Um, now you got the Dreadnought, the Serena,
Hmm.
Crocodile. Um,
He did have Iron Hands at one point, but
mhm. Not but no, I think it's I'm actually I really am not sure how to feel about this one. It like this is kind of how I feel about Eastside Embor as well, which we'll get to later. Where I like a lot of the picks in a vacuum, but I don't know
mhm.
how cohesive it will be as a like strategy. Um,
So I think that probably comes somewhat into play with how I team build when I tried to
mhm,
help him fix this team because when I build, I'm not looking for like a direct strategy. I'm looking for tools, right?
mhm,
Um, and so maybe I should lead the conversation a little bit here. So his first 3 picks we didn't change. So he had the Mew, the
mhm.
Zapdos, Metagross, all solid
Yeah.
mons in draft. Especially Mew can have any TM or whatever. That's great. It's
Mhm.
hard to predict. Zapdos, solid mon, 2 weaknesses, is switch initiative, fast, good mon. You got priority and power with Metagross. You get your steel type. So
Yep.
very good. Um, tagged out the Haunter for the Gengar.
Yes.
It wasn't hard to convince. I told him, I said, hey, you can have more power, and I know you're gonna lose Levitate, but you're gonna be able to clean up poison spikes just by switching them in.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, Gengar, good mon. No one's gonna debate that. Um, let's see, what was it? He had a Flamigo, but he didn't have a fire type, so I think we traded out the Blaziken for the Flamigo. It doesn't have speed boost in this league, but it still has U-turn. It still has it has flare blitz. It has close combat. It's got some other coverage moves, so I felt like it was a pretty solid pick. Um, he needed a rapid spinner. He didn't have any, or defogger or something. He didn't have any of those. So
Mhm.
that's again, he didn't have a grass type after we got rid of. I think we ended up getting. He had a Lowland Executor at one point, but anyways, we kept Main Street still had a grass type. You got a Rapid Spinner in Serena, and Serena's got actually pretty amazing coverage.
It
Your
does.
avatar on Discord. I'm surprised
Yes.
you haven't picked her up before, but she got like triple Axle, which is
Uh,
really cool for a grass type.
I play her a lot in VGC.
Gotcha. Yeah, Queenly Majesty, I could see that. Blocks priority.
Mhm.
So yeah, pretty solid,
In
real cool.
fact,
So I think I'm more of a Lurantis fan, so I do have a grudge that this mon got better stats than Lurantis did. But so I think it's solid. Again, we bumped up the Chansey just because I think it's a better format for Blissey. And it
mhm.
gives him he's got that special switch and that's really annoying. Um, Crocodile, he needed a dark type. So all right, so at one point this man had like 4 like psychic types and a ghost on his team, and I was like, all right, well, we got to get rid of some of these psychics. Evolve the Haunter. You need something to switch in and take hits that are going to be ghost and dark. And I think we looked at fairies and we looked at dark types, and he didn't have a ground type either. And eventually we were going through the list, and I was like, okay, Crocodile checks off 2 of these boxes. It could do a lot of cool things. It'd be Moxie, it can intimidate, be a little bit more bulky. I was like, try that out.
I think it's going to be
Um,
Intimidate more often on this team because again, like I said before, with the like or the Obstagoons not being able to take like a Moonblast, this team does not take physical hits very well. Um,
yeah.
so having Intimidate support there would be very nice.
I agree. I
Um,
agree. Um, he needed another Terra captain after the Dreadnought. Dreadnought and Blissey were like both 8, so like we needed something that fit under
hmm
that kind of that barrel. So I thought Scyther would be an interesting pick. And again, when I'm helping him with these things, I'm like, do you like this Pokemon? Like that's important to me when I'm building a team. I
hmm
want to have Pokemon I like, and I think that helps other people too. So we try to find things he liked. Scyther, Technician, Scizor Junior. It's still really good. I think they might have the same base set total. I might be incorrect about that,
I believe they
but
do.
you obviously you can tear out of the terrible quad weakness to rocks. You got a
hmm
little priority. You got technician. He's got some things he could do. So it's not a bad Terra captain, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um,
The only thing I don't love Dragon on it because it still keeps the ice weakness, but that's not the worst.
mhm.
You get the fire resist. You lose the rocks weakness. Um,
Yep, yep. The Dreadnought he had originally drafted. I thought that was again still a good Terra captain. You hit the shell smash button. Haha, funny.
hmm
GG. So it could be useful.
Yep.
The And then, like, the
And
only thing we didn't talk about was
it's
he
like
had 3 points left
Ariados.
over. What's that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ariados. It's sticky webs.
Yeah, that's what it was. I mean, he came down to having 3 points left, and I was like, it'd be funny to pick up with your 3 points. I was like, you could grab the sticky web option. Like it's for three
hmm
points. It's pretty economical. It was like Ariados and Ledian, and I was like, Ariados has sucker punch, so at the very least you can put up webs and maybe use some
Yes.
chip. But
Uh-huh.
and it gives him another poison type. But I mean, that's probably not going to be super relevant. But um, so
You
I mean
kind of want
that's kind of the thought
Ariados to
process.
die.
Yeah,
After.
yeah, that's fair.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, and again, I didn't intend to drive, but I think it kind of made sense for me to kind of explain not
hmm
myself, but ourselves. I don't know
Yeah.
how to phrase that, but the and then the Terra Captains. I'm trying to remember. I guess you get extra stab for crunch with dark, and then like what was the purpose of flying? I don't remember.
Get rid of the
Um,
grass and fighting weaknesses, I guess.
that's probably. I think I was looking for like a good defensive swap. That's what that
hmm
was. So that makes sense.
Yep. All right. Next up, we got Charlottezards and Sly Tie. Um,
Sly Tie. Yeah, he stole my so Iron Valiant was my primary pick. My runner up was the Great Tusk. And again, at a 9 seed, I didn't expect either one, and lo and behold, did not.
mhm.
But great lead to a draft is Great Tusk because you take care of your spinner and you get a powerful mod at the same time.
I will say, so I have all the tier lists of people that submitted them. Um,
Hmm.
this is the by far the most divisive team, I think.
Oh, like
Um,
top of the list, bottom of the list.
yeah. Uh, it was like pretty split on whether or not people thought this team was like there were very few people had it in mid tier.
Hmm.
I was the only one. Everyone else had it in like one of the top two or bottom two. Um,
I I did actually slightly make a list. I wasn't happy with it, so I didn't like send it to you.
mhm,
But I did have it in my I did have it towards the bottom. So it was bottom 5 for
mhm.
me. But I mean,
And
where do you
yeah,
fall on it?
I think that this team is going to be slightly better than people and like most people anticipate, but I guess I understand where people are coming from, why they think it's not quite as good. Um, it's pretty ice weak, um, and it can't like it has a lot of fast mons, but they don't hit like hardest. Um, it's really outside of Great Tusk. It's really a pretty low powered team. Um, and I don't love Porygon 2 with so much knockoff going around. And I
Hmm.
think, my other thing was Lycanroc Dusk. I think was like a huge overpay. I think that that was
I
one of
think
the.
so too, and I'm surprised it was such a round 3 pick. I should say it doesn't seem
hmm
like it immediately fills a niche that you have to have unless you really wanted priority rock, right?
Yeah, I would have much rather had the Lycanroc Day down for like 5 where it was. It
So it
was
also
like
gets a cell rock, right?
yeah.
Just doesn't have tough claws or something like that.
hmm Yep. But I think like, a lot of these mons are like again they're pretty good in a vacuum. Not the greatest value on some of them. And I am probably Hisuian Electro's biggest hater. I just do not understand. Uh, I don't understand why. Like, what does it do? I have
I, I
never.
I
It
think in
gets
an
drafted
early
in
draft league,
every
yeah,
single
it,
time draft league I've ever been
in
in. like pretty
In one of
highly.
the early drafts leagues, I think it popped off, and people have not forgotten it. Is what happened.
And like I have never seen it do anything like good since then, and I don't understand. um,
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I mean, you get the second fastest mon in existence
mhm.
with 150 base speed, so at least it has that. And you get like a secondary typing, so like you have some other stabs at least with with the Hisuian one. Um, Obviously you get the Terra Ice for the coverage for the ground types, making it a Terra Captain. So it's a good mon. But I just don't think it's broken or anything.
Mhm. And I think
Um,
Alolan Muck is a really good pick. Only one weakness
one,
and just really
yep.
good defensive typing. Dark Poison is incredible. And I
I
think
think there's
that
Toxic Spikes.
yep, Toxic Spikes have a real thing for like switch it knockoff in on like if you see a knockoff coming, you switch that in for free. Um,
Hmm.
and
I think it's
yeah,
also a knockoff mon, right?
it does. It is.
Yep. He's got a couple. I know all the elephants have knockoff. Muck has knockoff. I
I believe
think
that's it.
those might. I think that's it for his team. Um, let's see. Switch initiative. And he's got U-turn on Corviknight, which Corviknight's great. Um, let's see. I don't. Does the dog get U-turn? Does Lycanroc get U-turn?
I don't think so. It
You
might,
got
but
Volt Switch.
uh,
You got Volt Switch on Electrode. Technically speaking, you have an Cresselia if you do like Healing Wish.
yeah, I was about to say that. Inteleon gets U-turn. Um,
Oh, does it? Okay. So he's got some switch initiative there.
mhm.
Defensively, he's got bulky mons. He has Corviknight. He's got Crest. He's got P2 until he gets up a knockoff.
Yes.
And then
Yeah, I think
like you mentioned, threats might be a little low. Like the Tusk is obviously going to want to be preserved for removing hazards if he can help it. Um, Typhlosion, if you can get a Scarf, Eruption going, then it can be a threat. But it's really contingent on you keeping the hazards off the field. And yeah, getting
and
back to
then
the Great
yeah.
Tusk, he's going to have to. I guess you get defog technically speaking on the Corviknight as well.
Mhm, mhm.
So I mean, it checks a lot of the boxes. I do think type diversity might be a little lacking. Like water type's not bulky. There's no grass. I know there's a grass type, but it's also not bulky. So
And
your
it's
fire
also
water core
not
is mostly offensive.
uh-huh. I wish it had like it's this is where I feel a little bit weird about this one. It's like half the team is weak to not half, but a lot of the teams are ones are weak to ground, and like so it felt like he kind of overcompensated with levitating and flying to stop that. But then now the team's kind of weak to ice, and eh. Like the only ice resist is Typhlosion, and you don't really want to be switching Typhlosion in on things.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Um, yeah, I think this team is okay. It's decent, but
I
it's
think
not my
it
favorite.
averages out with how people
Yeah,
had it rated. Is
yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Next up, we got one that I can actually talk at length about. Um, Carolina Beach
Y'all did
Cyclizar.
some pre-planning, right?
We did,
Is that
we did.
okay?
With my good friend Connex. Um, long time, like friends since freshman year of high school. Played
Nice.
Pokemon together for forever. Um,
Love it.
I I mean, I helped like make the team, so I'm a little biased, but I think it's great. I think it's a
Okay.
top three team in the league. I think that's also general consensus as well.
I did have it up there in the top. So, yep, would agree.
Um, but yeah, like so much hazards, and then Golden Go is like the best way to just deny it all. Can't defog,
I think
can't rapid
the
spin,
only way
can't
to
mortal
get
spin,
around it is like tidy up, right?
and court change.
Oh, that's true.
Um, and
Wonder who
he
has
does
that.
not. We do not. We do not play each other, so there will be no court changing him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think he got a really solid defensive core in the first three. Especially Golden Go and Gliscor. That's a crazy good defensive pairing right there.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
cover
I see it.
so the first three picks they cover every resistance.
Ice,
Like
water.
for the other one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You got dark,
there's no
ghost,
overlapping.
and fire,
Uh,
ground. Yeah, it's pretty good.
um, and then I think I don't love the superior pick, but I know it's better in singles than it is in doubles. So I'm just a little
Well,
I
it it doesn't have the move pool it needs, right?
yeah.
And if it was a Terra Captain, like if it was Terra Possible, it would be way better. But the fact that it's got like
Hmm.
Dragon Pulse and Grass moves,
Yep. It
Not doing it any favors.
yeah, it has like dragon tail, I guess. It's
Yeah,
just
but I
a
mean,
move that does
it's so fast.
something.
It's a fast brittle mon. You don't want
I
it to go
know,
last.
I know.
Um, I
I
love
think the
Volcarona.
Volcarone's great.
But
I
that
I
was
was
in
amazed that didn't go.
my yeah, that was like one of my pride and joys from my first draft league ever, and I really love Volcarona.
Hmm.
So I will never say that's a bad pickup. I think it's great even without Terra.
Hmm.
Um, you hit the quiver dance button and you giggle. I mean, what's there not to like?
um,
Uh,
and
he
then
does. I think
Cyclizar got the mascot pick, but after it got sniped from him by Gliss, Gliss ended up
he got
giving it up.
he got it back. He got it back.
Hmm.
It's not my favorite hazard removal. I will say that about this team. It's it's fast. It doesn't do a lot outside of being fast and rapid spinning. Like you can
It
hit
has
the funny Drake meteor button, but like
a regenerator pivot.
I mean, even before I'm too critical, let me double check its defenses. But I thought it was pretty frail.
It is pretty frail, but it can
It's like a
take
Min Shao kind of thing, I guess.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
and it's a mon that he's very comfortable with. I know. So and it's like
Oh,
one that you can
clearly.
yeah, it's one that you can like kind of justify. Like, it's a before I had Hitman Top as a spinner, and I think that was pretty. It was not good, but now it's like
Yeah.
okay, a regenerator pivot like pivot mon that's always going to be decent. You can justify bringing
Yeah.
that to pretty much to most matchups, pretty much.
I'm
Um,
looking at it a little bit now. It pretty much has the very similar defensive stats to hit to Min Shao, and it's got dragon typing, so like it can't like you Min Shao's you've been able to run like assault vest sets on it in the past, and it actually if you do like right switch ends, it actually does benefit from that, and you get the healing off the regenerator. It's not nearly as offensive as Min Shao is.
mhm.
I'm trying to like look at its move pool real quick. Obviously, it has U-turn, which is great. Um,
I believe it does get shift gear, which is an
that's
interesting.
weird. It does
Um,
get shift geared, huh?
it's a bike.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a motorcycle, so it shifts
Two
gears.
stages of speed and one attack stage.
Uh
Okay,
huh.
well, I mean, you get one shift gear up, you're outspeeding everything. So
Hmm.
maybe. Um, let's see. I'm just saying it's got some
Uh,
type diversity in its move pool. You know what? Maybe I'm being hypercritical of this thing. I'll wait and see what this thing does. It might be a better pick than I think.
Okay, yeah. And then Lantern he wanted just as a Terra captain. He's like that was the first one he decided I'm drafting this to be a Terra captain because he gets Volt Absorb and Water Absorb, so being able to
Yeah,
Terra into like
I
whatever
agree.
the
I
matchup
agree.
needs. Being a flying type with Volt Absorb is crazy. Uh,
I think having two immunities, and like you said, you could Terra to get a different immunity as well added on because I see he's got a steel for the poison and the flying for the ground. No, I think that's really cool. I think that's great for particular matchups. And I don't. It probably has Volt Switch. I don't know if it has also Flip Turn, but
I don't
it
know.
might have some Switch initiative there.
But
Hey,
yeah, it has
whatever.
Volt Switch for sure. Um,
It's got
then we got
your good dog from first season.
my favorite boy Doc's fun. Um, I love Doc Fun. I think and I know that when we in beforehand, like before he took it, he messaged me. He was like, "Dude, I'm like actually really scared of the Chiyu team. Do I just take Doc's Fun just as like a 1-to-1 like check like just to like
Oh, they
solo it?
play week 3 too.
They
Yeah,
do
no, wait,
play.
that's not them. Wait,
Uh,
who has? Oh,
or I
Chicago
believe
Bears week 2,
yeah, it's week 2.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
I saw Tarsboro, and that was season 1. They had cheese. I got a little confused there,
Uh-huh.
but now that I'm looking at his team, he's got amazing switch-ins because he's got
Yes.
obviously a ghost and poison type, which has got 3 immunities right there. We already talked about Lantern. Doxpun's got 2 immunities. You have Rotom, who has got Levitate, which he can Terra Electric as one of his captains and get rid of all of its weaknesses. So he has amazing switch-ins. I really do like that. Even though he doesn't have like a no, he's got Gliscor. I was about to say down a ton of bulk. I take that back.
And then I love the slacking pick for 2, I think.
Why do you love? Oh, it's for 2 points. Okay, well, all
Yeah.
right.
Like that was crazy value for 2. It's
Is
like you
it?
just click a double edge and then like you're and like you said he has great switch ins so you can switch it out anyways into something like something good. Uh and you don't have to worry about the
I
truant.
guess.
It does
I
like
guess
insane damage. Just absurd. Um
it does. I watch a lot of choose your starter videos, and they usually randomize the abilities, so they're always excited when they
mhm.
get Slaking or Regigigas or something.
Yep.
But I mean, I guess it's a little predictable, so it's not my favorite pick. But I mean, it's for 2 points. I mean, why not?
Mhm. Mhm. And then the Phalanx was pretty. That's another one. So you can actually switch out of after you no retreat if you're a Terra Ghost.
Oh, so it has the same properties like Arena Trap and
Yeah, and ghosts cannot be trapped, and it is a
Shadow
like thing
Tag.
that traps yourself. Um, so you just
Interesting.
yeah.
Huh. I probably not a lot of situations where he wants to do that, but that's interesting to have the option.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty good Terra Captain for him. Um, and I
That's
think it's just a neat thing that it can do. Also, if you switch it in on a defog, it gets +2 just off the
Switch
bat
on oh, it has
because it has
Defiant.
Defiant.
Okay. So some teams that only have a defogger, that's like a kind of a must bring after you set up some hazards. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can see that's cool. I like that. So I
And then
think a
this,
lot of people don't know a lot about this Pokemon other than it has that setup move, and they won't know
mm-hmm.
about Defiant, and they will make that mistake.
Yes. And then this Bathrow I thought was a really good like last pick. I mean, it's an Ubers. It's a really good mon.
I mean,
Uh,
I had to go look. It was a 13-point pickup. So he had some points left by the time he got to that last pick. But yeah, I mean, setup, speed boost. So yeah, I mean, again, people know what it's going to do, but it does it well.
hmm And for a last pick where it's like, oh, just throw it on because I can. I think that's a good one.
Now, something to be said here, and we saw this problem with the Winterville Weaviles in season 1, is that there are a lot of setup mons here, but again, he does have the defensive switches to kind of like support it.
hmm And it doesn't necessarily like need to be like so like a lot of them you don't need to set up. Like Volcarona doesn't need to set up. It's just like if you do get it up, then it's crazy. But it does. It
Mhm.
can. It also just on its own has 135 special attack. So
Yep.
all right.
But yeah, I like this team a lot, and you said you liked it a lot too, and obviously it's your
Mhm.
buddies. But yeah, I think it's one of the better built teams in the league.
And
It covers a
obviously
lot.
as top tier logo. Um,
I I don't like no hold on. It's funny, but boy does it stand out like a sore thumb. Like if you click on the home tab for everybody there, and you just display all the logos, and then it's just like
yeah.
Cyclizar with a hat. Like, but it is a funny logo.
uh, he's just a Carolina Cyclizar, and it's the dog Walter, like it's a meme from a little while ago. It's just doing that pose in the Walter room. So he just kept the same like PNG of Cyclizar, and then put it at the beach.
I had to look it up. Okay, gotcha.
um, Hold on, I gotta send you something real quick.
Oh no.
This is our logo for the multi battle league. This is a quick tangent. Uh,
What? Why is he made of chocolate?
it was the most cursed image of pooper I could find.
Oh,
Um,
I love both of them.
I'll put it up on screen for the people at
Are you,
home.
you're the Wilmington Whoopers, I assume.
Yes, it says
Okay,
Wilmington down at the bottom, obviously.
that's great. Though. I mean, two Whoopers. You love Whooper, and there's two of you.
Uh-huh.
I like it. I like it.
All right. Anyways, any other thoughts? I think the team's really strong.
Yep.
But it definitely if it could get outpaced, I think, in terms of offense if it doesn't get anything set up. I think that's the
It
one
has a
like
lot. It has a lot of
really.
setups, but it has to click the buttons to get them. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next up, we got Gliss to the El Paso Eiscue, a consensus top team in the league. Um,
I don't share that consensus, but I am mad a little bit because you and I proved that Slowking is the champion difference last season. How did neither one of them get picked in round 1 and they make it all the way back to him to have his pick of the litter for round 2 when he had Kirim? Like, why? Why was that allowed?
This is just the team
So
of all the good mons that fell.
So he's got Slowking. So congratulations on making it to finals. But no, but seriously though, Kirim was my was number 3 on my list. So again, another mon that got chipped before I got to me.
hmm
But it's really cool. I mean, I love Kirim first off, but second off, it can be physical, it can be special. It's got set up for both. You
Freeze
can
your
do like a
eye.
scale shot. You can
It
do a
has
setup.
freeze your
You can do a what do you call it? What's the dice? What's the dice?
loaded
Loaded
dice.
dice. You can do loaded dice. So you get your scale shot, your ice
Ice cool
sphere, physical
spear.
set. You could do obviously you could do choice sets, and so it's really hard. Even though it's like move pool's not the crazy deepest, it's really hard to predict what it's going to do. It's got freeze dry to cover water types, which I'm personally going to hate. Um,
And yeah, it's decent for
and
a discount Baxcalibur, you know.
I think Kip's cooler than Baxcalibur. I don't know if he's better, but he's definitely cooler. As I'm a big, and that's coming from a guy who's a big Godzilla fan, but Baxcalibur kind of derpy. But
Yeah.
anyways, the no, I think the first two picks obviously great synergy. You get the chilly reception, you set up the snow, it becomes extra defensive. Great, getting the poison soaking. You already have a toxic spike pickupper. I can't say enough good things about Slowking, and the only reason I didn't pick one up is I was just trying to have a completely different team from season 1 to try some new things out. But if I was like, someone told me like, hey, this is worth a lot of money, the winner takes all, I'd be like, all right, well, round 1, Slowking, like I would have grabbed it right then and there, like I did season 1. But no, nothing negative to say about the first 2 picks at all.
I think those middle 4 at the top, a really really solid defensive core. Um, so like the
Yeah,
Slowking
I
through
mean,
Alomomola. Alomomola is crazy good value.
it is, and it's the only reason I would never pick it up is because it's ugly. But it's a thick regenerator mon. It's Wish Passer.
Is
You have Skarmory, which I arguably, again, I mentioned another. There's probably a few still types I should pick, but Skarmory or Corviknight or Iron Treads. I just wanted to use Scizor, but I know how good Skarmory is. I used to use it all the time in Gen 6. I know you recently used it. It now has like other things you can do, like body press. It's an amazing pickup, and it's a physical wall to pair with a potential special wall with Slowking. So, like, I think his first 5 Mons, looking at him, his team is terrifying. He did pick up like the late defog because he didn't have great hazard removal. I think Talonflame's a decent. You have to run safety or heavy duty boots. You get
Yeah.
defog there. I don't think he's going to bring Sandslash. If he does,
Yeah. I think Sandslash is really bad.
He needed the electric resist. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
The no, he didn't. He had the effing bear right there. But the Ogerpon, obviously a great one. I think it was the last Ogerpon to be picked up. But it's great because this one can hold an item. So if you want to do, you can do a lot of things. You could scarf it. You can do, if you want to do crit shenanigans, you can give it the Spookoplins. If you want, you can do. I did debate picking this one up, and I'm still on the fence whether or not it was a bad idea for me to pick up Rock over this one. But yeah, Ogerpon, great. No one's gonna argue that. Spidops, funny sticky webs. Literally the only thing this Mon's gonna do if he brings it. So like that's a commitment. I'm not a big fan of it. And then the F and Ursaluna, which I know he had in doubles. And I made the joke and then he just picked it up, and I was surprised. I know these Mons are like, the Ursalunas, I feel like most of the time they're like a 1-for-1. And if they get 2 Mons, then okay, it was good to bring them. But you tell me, I mean, what do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that Ursaluna is obviously a lot worse in singles than it is in doubles. But I think it still provides some value as like if you have like webs up and it is like a faster version, if you don't have it, like it's just really hard to switch in on, like nearly impossible because nothing really wants to take a blood moon except for like steel types, but steel types don't want to take an earth power, so it has just really good coverage across the
And
board.
the Skarmory is on his team, and the other one would be Corviknight, right? So the I guess Bronzong is there somewhere, but the he does, and again we mentioned better in doubles than singles. He does have Slowking who can run Trick Room, and his team is very slow, barring like 3 Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's worth in singles, but maybe with Blood Moon it might be. You just set up the Trick Room, Chilly Reception out, and then, well, I don't even know if you Chilly Reception at that point, like because I mean you're the fastest thing in the room, so you might as well just hard switch. But I don't know.
Yeah, the things that the team does struggle with is like hazard removal and honestly hazard setting because it has Spite Ops, but like it's not really good. I think King Gambit gets
Skarmory
rocks.
has good. Skarmory's got both rocks and spikes.
I
So
thought it just had spikes. Okay.
No, it used to have Stealth Rock, and I assume since everything has Stealth Rock, that it also has Stealth Rock.
Yeah, it probably does.
So I think setting hazards is probably fine for this team. Ogerpon gets spikes.
Does?
You get toxic? Yeah, you get toxic spikes.
Okay.
I didn't know it when I drafted it. I'll be very clear. Ogerpon had a couple things I didn't know it had when I picked. I just knew I wanted to try out new Mons. So I was more happy with Ogerpon after I picked it. Anyways, me later. The but got Toxic Spikes with Slow King. He's got hazards covered. Again, the removal's a little sketchy. The Talonflame makes it better than it was because he had Cyclizar before,
Hmm.
and it gives him a fire type. Um, he does. He's got bulky water. So he's got fire, water, grass. He is missing a fairy, but he does have 2 steel types. So you can't necessarily hit the dragon button against him, but you're also like it's not the worst thing to hit the dragon button against him.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
think this team is very strong. I mean, you just look at those first 5
It
picks
is.
and then Ogrepon, and I think that's just it's a crazy team. Um,
It's a good team, and I think it's being piloted by a great captain. I don't think
mhm.
it's a top 5 team,
Really? Okay.
and I think that's an unpopular opinion.
You would be correct. Um, Not everybody had it first, but everybody had it in the top tier. Um,
Right, right.
all right. Next up, we got Tomba, the New York Ninetales. Um, I I have no idea what to think of this team. I've thought like this is the one I spent kind of the most time on because that's my round one. But I just
Mm.
cannot like I don't love the double weather. Um, but because I'm a big fan of double weather on my own, like in certain cases. But I just don't think these two pair well together. I
It's
don't.
not really double weather, it's just Aurora Veil, right? Because the snow doesn't serve
Right?
any other
Yeah.
purpose here except for disruption. I guess if you're going up against like the rain team and you don't want to bring your
Yeah.
Torkoal, then like Ninetales makes sense. And I don't. Does he play Obstagoons? Yeah, he does. So we might see that.
Yeah. I just like. I feel like you would get rid of your own son that you would benefit from. Is what it
You
is
you
kind of what
definitely
it
don't
does.
you definitely don't bring both. You definitely don't bring both. So it's like a week
Hmm.
by week thing. But again, your first Mon goes ham in Sun. So it's like you. I feel like most of the time you want Sun. But yeah, I mean I don't know.
And I don't love Torkoal. I think if he had both Ninetales, that would have been really funny. Um,
When he did make that comment that he did consider it, but he said he needed a spinner.
that's
So
true.
I do agree with the pickup. I did consider Toko myself because I got we'll get to my team in a little bit. The
Next, I believe, actually.
and he yep we will. But again I try not to talk out of turn about my own stuff because
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm bad at that. I have to bite my own tongue. But he's got the wheezing, so he's got 2 forms of removal. He's got defog with the wheezing. He's got the rapid spin with the Torkoal, so that's good. He's got ways to protect his fire types. Also, the Torkoal's probably going to have the boots most of the time.
Hmm.
Um, Jolteon, I think, is an amazing Terra captain. It's like your
Yep.
budget Lecky, but it can Terra.
Hmm.
So in many ways, it's better. Um, and then like I said, Ninetales really just there for Aurora Veil unless I'm missing something.
It gets freeze dry as well.
It does. It does.
That's not nothing. Um,
Yeah, that's fair.
Combination of Blizzard and freeze dry. It's like Blizzard, freeze dry, Aurora Veil, Moonblast. That's good. That's good coverage. Thing across the
It's no,
board.
it's a good
Um,
mon. It's not a synergistic mon with this team, but it's a
hmm.
good mon.
Yeah.
Um, Quagsire, unaware. Quagsire is always good. It doesn't matter what tier he's in. He can be an NU, but you can run that mon in OU if you want to, and it'll be just fine. So I think that's a
Seahawks'
really good
defense
pickup.
Was a really good pick too. I thought that was
And he was very happy about that one too. Like he was very
mhm.
proud of that pick. I don't know. I know it's got teleport. I think it's like it's like one of 2 Pokemon that have teleport, which is like the Gardevoir line and like this thing. So teleport's good. So it's delayed. So you always get the slow switch initiative, and this is a defensive bond. So I think that's great. I
Mhm.
think it gets spikes set up. And then after that, I don't know what it does.
Yeah. I I mean it's offenses aren't that bad, so like it's a total liability to have on the field, which is nice. Um,
Hmm.
but it is rough because it's like he's a bad defensive typing. It's really not good, but it's like it's so bulky that it kind of doesn't matter. Um,
Oh, it's a
so I
recover
think
mon. Huh. Yeah.
mhm.
Our team's
Diplin's
run
cool.
Trick
It's the
Room. Oh, yeah,
only
Stuff
like
Buck. Huh.
Diplin's the
Okay.
only
Sorry.
Eviolite mon that doesn't worry about knockoff because it has sticky hold.
Yeah, that was funny. So the Evilite ain't going anywhere.
Hmm.
I don't
Um,
know how thick this mod is. Let's see, Diplin. No one, no usage statistics. Great, great. Okay, never mind.
it's pretty bulky. Um,
Okay.
it has the same base stat total as like Appleton and Flapple.
What what does
And
it
it
do?
can, it, so its signature move is Syrup Bomb, which like it lowers the speed of whatever it's like against the opposing mon every
Hmm.
turn. Um, and
Oh, like
after that,
passively?
yeah,
Oh, interesting. So it
It's
gives them
cool.
the
It's
opposite
a
of speed boost.
but unfortunately, um, it is only like 85% accurate because you're supposed to pair it with this
Uh,
other ability, um, which is like lowers evasion of the opponent. Um, it's a really cool VGC mod. I don't know how good it'll be in this format.
well, I mean, and a lot of people, if they know it has sticky hold, then maybe he can
They won't
afford to not run it and just run the other ability. I mean, I did that last season against Gliss. I very clearly could have run Volt Absorb for his Lecky, but I just didn't. But he had to respect it. Um, the Yeah, and he's got Tinkaton again. That's one that
Yes.
pained me to, and she went that long too. Like everybody yelled at me every season when I picked up early, and then this season she goes all the way down to like the 10th round pick. So like clearly it was more whining than there was necessary. But great mon hazards, got big hammer stick. So you
She
got
was on my big
screens,
board for sure, but
knockoff.
I ended up having I needed some less ground weaknesses, which I think this team also kind of does not appreciate ground type
It
moves.
does have a lot of ground weaknesses. I mean, if his Wheezing doesn't have a ground resist, then you have Jolteon, you have the 2 fire types, you have Tinkaton. So it's got a fair amount.
Hmm.
Maybe that week he wants the levitate instead of
Yeah.
the neutralizing gas. He is one of the few that can actually defog against Goldingo because of neutralizing gas, which is a
Well,
funny
you would
little
think
haha.
that
But you're also going to
um
get blown away.
yeah,
But
but so you would think that it could defog, but then you remember that its special defense sucks and it will just die to make
yeah,
it rain.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Terra Captains, we already mentioned Jolteon. Ice is great, Electric's great. I don't know how I feel about Grass. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Grass. You already have Ice to cover the ground.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah,
then
I don't love the grass, but
I think
electric and ice is probably what you're
Kane
doing most
ran
of the time
water.
anyways. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. Yeah, he did run water. He ran that against me, and then I energy balled him.
Rip. Let's see. Diplin. Again, I don't know what this thing does other than what you said, but Dragon obviously makes sense. Steel and Fairy,
Dragon
some
Steel
defensive
Fairy. Yep.
typings. Does it have reliable recovery of some sort?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Um,
And then Calyrex is the haha. I'm 1 point. Here I am.
yeah,
People brought it up, so here I am.
yeah. It is very funny. I don't think it's that good. Its move
No,
pool is
we're not
lacking
gonna
to say the least.
we're not rating the 1 point mon here. We
Yeah,
know why it's there. So it's
it's very
fine.
funny.
So let's see. So I mean, overall, this mon it does have great offensive threats. His first 2 picks, sheer force is legal in this league, so that for Landers, so I mean that's
Hmm.
incredible power right off the bat. Um, speed, yeah, he's got
It's
fast
not
mons.
it's not super fast, but it's all right.
It-
It's like
It's not,
Jolteon
yeah, it's not
and
crazy.
Ninetales are really
Ninetales is
fast.
109. Orlando in that form is like 101. Is that right? Or is that the 90? I forget.
No, it's
It's
101.
101.
The 91 is the other one. Therian.
And then you have to get like Dragon Dance up on the other guy. But
Hmm.
uh, let me see. Any priority? Like I guess not real priority. I should say. Tinkaton has some that you
It
can
has
kind of
faint.
use like paint. Yeah. And I've used fake out before for I never
Hmm.
either way it has it, but it's not what I'm really looking for here when I'm talking about
Yeah.
priority. Switch initiative. Lando still has U-turn, I'm pretty certain. You got Volt
Hmm.
Switch, teleport. So he's got good initiative. Hazards he has. And then
Plenty of ways to get up rocks. This team
yeah,
is
yeah.
not lacking in ways of setting up stealth rocks for sure.
And a couple of different ways to get rid of it. So I mean, it checks the boxes pretty well. So I think he's got the right tools. Maybe the type diversity might not be there. I'd have to go through and count the types, and I'm not doing that right now.
Hmm.
But
Hmm. He has 3 fairy types. That's okay because fairy is the top 2 type, so it's not the worst one to have.
well, you got the best type combination right there, Tinkaton. So.
It's true. All right, I'm ready to move on to your team if you want.
Oh gosh, yeah, you're gonna have to reel me in, but I'll say what I said last time, and I'll break my own rule, but I'll let you lead the conversation, and then I'll jump in.
Okay, okay.
But the I will say right off the bat before that though is we Walking Wake obviously was my since I've talked about the other ones. This was my 4th round pick, and if someone had taken Wake, Greninja probably would have been my 5th round pick. But yes, so Wake being my first pick, Action, go.
All right, all right. So first thing I gotta say, the clear MVP, a front runner, Terra Stellar Starly. Um, Obviously goated pick right there. Can do no
He's vibing.
wrong. No,
Look at him.
I still don't know why you don't have Staravia, but
No, this is funnier because I'm not probably going to use either one. But all right, so the real reason is that this is better technically is, and I think you and I talked about it before, is you have to set the levels to 100. So if you do fear strat, you do want to be weaker. So
that's true, but I don't think that's good, and I think Staravia has like
no,
Intimidate
it's
and
terrible.
Reckless, so it could
The
actually do
the
something. But
I wouldn't bring it either way.
yeah,
Again, he's there to vibe. Look at him
yeah,
vibe.
he's chilling. Um,
Canoe DM'd me. Is like, haha, Starly, do this. And I'm like, okay, I'll put it on the team. It was 1 point. That's all I had left.
yeah.
So
I'm still sad no one took his wireless. I thought that was a great 1 point mon. Just hit your
it's not bad.
moves. Just hit your moves, silly.
Honestly, yeah, well, I mean, honestly, and as you go through my list here, at one point I was looking for good dark types, and that would Evilite Xylus might have been okay, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know.
But anyways, back to team ones that you actually did pick. Um,
hmm
I I don't know if I like the Walking Wake pick as much, to be honest. I think
Okay.
it's obviously a really strong mon, and you did manage to get the Ninetales in the like really late 10th round, which is pretty good for that.
I wasn't planning
Um,
on doing Sun. I'll be honest, but
yeah, I can tell from the rest of your team. Um,
yeah,
but it's I don't know. I don't love it without Sun. It kind of has the struggles with if you want to make it booster speed, it can't be as strong as you would like, and if you're not gonna do it in the Sun, I feel like it needs the booster speed. Um, but
so something I learned after drafting it, I want to make an emphasis on that. After drafting it, it does have access to Scald, so that's pretty good
yeah,
if you're
but
not running
that's true.
in the Sun. I do like Scald. I like burning physical attackers. That's always a fun time, and he's gonna have good power behind it with
Hmm.
respectable stat line. He's got a great typing. I don't have generally speaking, unless I go up against Freeze Dry, he's gonna be taking hits.
Yes.
Um, and the only two it's weak against two things, right? Dragon and Fairy, which the next Pokemon does handle, and
Hmm.
the next
Hmm.
Pokemon's only weak against Fire, which he quad resists. So I think they're a nice
Yep.
pairing. But
I'm absolutely terrified of the defensive core of Skeledirge and Toxapex. That's disgusting.
it's pretty
Um,
disgusting. I love Skeledirge. He's probably my favorite fire type. Before that was like all the way back in Gen 2 was Cyndaquil Typhlosion. But I didn't know. I went in Gen 9 blind, and the starters I knew the cat was probably doomed. The duck, no, I knew the duck for sure was doomed. The cat I didn't have as much faith in because they're very notorious for making the mammals stand on two legs. And I was like, all right,
yep.
grab the baby croc. Then the second stage popped up and he had a sombrero. I'm like, I don't know what's happening to my croc. And then he evolved, and I was like, yes! And like touchdown, like hands up in the air. I'm like, yes!
I
Like
think it's so unbelievably ugly.
I
To
love
be
him.
honest,
I love him.
I
He's
hate
so
the
cool.
stupid like clown sideburns.
That's fire
Like
coming out of his mouth. That's coming out
I
of his
know, but
mouth.
it does. Yeah, I know what it is, but it doesn't look like in
So, all right,
theory. Yeah,
it is a victim of Pokemon's 3D model system. It is a victim of that. I will give you that. But this picture looks cool right here, doesn't it?
no, I think it looks the most like a
Okay,
clown in
all
this
right.
from this perspective.
You don't like Walking Wake either, so you know what?
um, and Walking Wake is like someone on like they took fan art from like DeviantArt in
Uh-huh.
2013. Um,
Look, sometimes there's some gems on DeviantArt. Just saying. All right. First off,
at
this
least you
probably
have
covers
Scizor.
Scissor's
That's
hype.
full.
The I do like dinosaur. I mean, and what boy doesn't? But I do love dinosaurs. And both of them are very draconic dinosaur-ish type mons. So that probably makes them in my eyes look cooler than they do in yours. I don't know, but yeah. So I mean, again, Skeledirge. I just wanted to try him out. I've never really got to use him competitively, and it
Hmm.
got to my round 3. I had a water type, and I was like, I'm gonna grab my fire type. Um, There's fire ghost. There's not a fire ghost type that's not cool. First off, but I do get an unaware mon. He's got some decent tools in his kit. It's one of the important things about drafts. I don't want a Pokemon just do the same thing every game. I want to be able to switch it up and have surprises.
Hmm.
So he does have stuff.
Yes.
And again, a ghost type, so it gives me a spin blocker. I guess we didn't really talk about Scizor other than like it does pair the
It's good.
typings up well. But
Everyone knows what Scizor does.
yeah, I mean it's been out since too, right? Bullet punch,
Uh-huh.
U-turn, technician. It does have defog, so it does give me another
Hmm.
form of hazard removal. But yeah,
Uh, yeah, I talked about the defensive pairing. I think Donphan is a really good pick too. It's a spinner,
I
um,
yep
and it's
yep.
so physically bulky. It has sturdy, so you will always get your rocks up the first time, guaranteed. Not the thing you'd always want to do that, but you can. It, which is useful. Ice Shard is like a really like just neat tech move on it. Yeah.
All right. So my rule going into this draft, I told myself, I was like, I'm going to draft Mons I haven't used. And I did have one exception in my head, which was going to be Typhlosion, because in my division, which we did in season 1, he just didn't get a chance to shine. I got to use it like maybe one game, and it was against like the F and Rain team, and like I barely clutched up with like Terry Grass. I never got to do funny Typhlosion stuff. So I did think I was going to bring it or pick it up. And then of course, Skeledirge was still on the table round 3. I was like, I got to get Skeledirge. But for Donphan, that broke my rule. But I
Mhm.
literally I looked at the list of rapid spinners because this is about where I drafted him in season 1 too. But I looked at what was left, and both Iron Treads and Great Tusk were gone, obviously.
Mhm.
And then like the runner-up good spinners were water types, and lo and behold, I already have 2 water types. And when I came to that realization, because I was thinking like I love Tentacruel, I love Blastoise, but I came to that realization, I was like, oh fudge, like I can't pick up a 3rd water type. And then I started sweating. I was like, I got to break my rule. Like I got to regrab Donphan. And Donphan, honestly, like if Slowking didn't exist, like Donphan might have been like a case for like MVP of my squad. Like it was so good. Like you already said, it has like priority. It's got sturdy. It can remove hazards. It can set hazards. Its move pool's deep. It's got Seed
Mhm.
Bomb, Play Rough. It's got
Yep.
Knockoff. Like I love Donphan. So I totally, if I was gonna break my rule, this is a great one to do it on. And yeah, I mean, we keep going down the list. We kind of skip Toxapex, but everybody again knows what Toxapex does.
Mhm.
So yeah, onward. So,
Yep. Ogerpon is neat. It's one of the only mons with a 100% accurate, like strong rock move, which
yep.
is cool. Like you don't have to worry about missing Stone Edge or even like Stone Axe on Cleavor can miss.
Oh,
Like,
I didn't know that could miss.
yep, it's 95% accurate, which I mean still gonna
Ooh.
hit most of the time, but not all the time.
And you get stealth rocks. So I mean, it's a cool move.
Hmm.
The and no, I wanted to try out an Ogerpon. At this point in the draft, the fire and the water one were gone because I know the water one went round 2. And I think fire may have as well. We'll get to it because I think it's the
Hmm.
last team. But the so it came down to rocking the grass one. And like you said, it really like the selling point for this one, not giving up my item, was that having that 100% accurate, high crit ratio rock move. And I was like, it seems good. I don't have a rock type yet. Let's try it out. So that's why I went with the rock one. I don't know if it was the better of the two to really pick because again, not having an item is kind of but
Hmm. Yep. And I think we've talked enough about the previous Ogerpons that we kind of know what they do. Um,
yep.
Hatterene, I think I always forget it. Get like Magic Bounce is really good in singles, and I'm always like, oh, why do people draft this mon? It's like a Trick Room mon. Trick Room's bad in singles. And they were, oh yeah, Magic Bounce, and that's that's really good. Um,
So I wanted a fairy type. I didn't want to have. I try not to pick the same mon, so I passed up the Tinkaton. So for me, it came down to on this particular turn 7. I was like, okay, do I want Gardevoir? Because I've done some funny stuff in the past with Gardevoir, but really fun. But I've never used Hatterene. And I was like, Hatterene looks really fun. Again, you mentioned the Magic Bounce, which I do have 2 forms of hazard removal, but it is nice to make your opponent like have to think of like, okay, do I really want to hit the hazard button?
hmm.
And she's like oddly like a setup sweeper, which I guess again it depends on like the matchup, right?
Yeah.
But like if you get rid of like the physical threats, and even then she's got really good physical bulk, and she gets a Calm Mind up, and she's just hitting you hard with like a draining kiss and recovering HP. Like she can sweep, and she's got a good move pool. She does a lot of things, which again is what I look for when I'm drafting mons. I like to have mons. I also like them to have deep like tool sets that they can use.
Mm-hmm. All right, then you got Brute Bonnet. I think Brute Bonnet's a really interesting mon in draft. It has a surprisingly like deep move pool. It can do with booster energy. It can boost any one of its stats except for speed, I think. Um,
Yeah. It's
uh,
got the perfect amount of attack where if you gave it like 0 IVs in attack and you gave it like plus, max out the speed, it's literally 1 point shy. So it was a very intentional 127
yes,
attack and 55 speed. Like that was calculated by somebody at Game Freak to make sure Spore didn't go ham.
yes. But like you can do attack or defense are the main ones you do most often because it also does
Mhm.
get body press,
Yep.
which I think
So
is in close combat if you want to do attack. But I don't love lowering your defenses on a like slower trying to be bulkier mon. Um, I think the only like problem with Brute Bonnet is that it it does die to U-turn, but you made it a Terra Captain, which I think was really smart. So
the so I got to this point in the draft and I had let me see what's my team looking like so far. So I know I guess I only have one Pokemon this week to Ghost and Dark, but I didn't really have a resistance to. Oh no, I have two. I have two weaknesses to Ghost. So I was like, okay, I want to get a Dark type, and I'm looking at the Dark type. It's like nothing's like both economical at this point in the draft because I did most of my mons up here are decently high point mons, so I didn't have like a ton of points to play around with at this point. And I was like, I want a
couldn't be
good
me.
Dark. Yeah. Well, we'll get to you. The but it did give me three. Like it has terrible typing, but it gave me a dark type, which again Ghost and Dark resistance, and it
Hmm.
gave me a ground resist, which I didn't have yet. And granted, I don't have a ton of things weak to ground, but like my core is, so I was like,
Hmm.
interesting. Um, so the typing worked out. Again, I can make a Terra Captain, and I can choose to keep the dark. I did just choose, I picked the dark to stay. Um, you and I talked a little bit about this before, but the fire was like the one that countered a lot of its weaknesses, like the most of them rather. And then water's just like generically a good like defensive type.
Yep.
Um, so I mean he's cool. I'm gonna try him out, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm kind of in the dark on this one. I've been looking through its set. It does have a lot of stuff. Obviously, Spore. My opponents have to respect it, and if it looks like a good matchup that week, they might want to run them goggles. I don't know.
All right. Next up, we have Vikavolt, and I'll let you sing the praises. I know you're very excited to use this mon.
So I wasn't originally, to be honest, because I had planned on getting Galvantula, because he's fast, he's a good lead, he hits decently hard, he's got almost 100% accurate thunders, and the sticky webs. Like I wanted to have a good sticky web user, as an option. I don't want to bring sticky web every game. I don't want to be reliant on it. But so yeah, Kane like round 3 grabbed Galvantula, and I was heartbroken. But I have come to love this pick. It's better than I thought it was. I forgot. I had this on my first playthrough of Sun. I forgot it had Levitate. So you do Terra Electric. It's like a Rotom. So I
Hmm.
love slow switch initiative to help get in like faster, somewhat brittle mon. So in my case, Ogrepon's Walkwake's not really brittle, but you get the point. Um, Obviously we get the sticky webs. It does have some funny things. Like it gets like iron defense. It's got grass coverage. It's got some flying coverage, which I am missing. I have coverage on my team. I just don't have stab. Because I have like
What do you
dual wing
mean?
beak and stuff.
I see one right there. Starly,
Oh,
my goat.
you're right. You're right. You're right. Um, but yeah, Volt Switch, Sticky Webs. It's got good move coverage. I think it's going to be a really fun captain to use. So I really do like both, and I say both. I should say all three because I get a little star right there. But my realistic captains, I do think they're both great captains. And I think they're both going to serve me well in their respective matchups.
I gotta say, week 8, if you've like already clinched playoffs, you got to bring Starly.
I I was hoping to like I was looking at the teams like maybe I have like a matchup where I could kind of bring it. I don't know who's gonna let me get
No.
away with that. Like no, I don't think anybody's gonna let me get away with that.
What do you me? I'll let you
Maybe
get away. I'll let you get away with it.
what's
Come
that? You let me
on.
hit you with it? I
Yeah,
don't
I'll,
I my schedule. I looked at my schedule after we randomized it. And I was like, why do I play Trey and Colin weeks 3 and 4? Like those are gonna be awful weeks to prep for. The Trey has such a good matchup on me, man. I hate it. That cure I'm having the freeze dry
Yep.
dicks me so bad. Like my team's normally okay against ice. Like I have a few weaknesses to it, but
Mhm.
freeze dry
Yep.
sucks. Like I don't want to
Hmm.
deal with that. So I might have to hold L on that. We'll see. I'll try my best. But the only one that we haven't talked about because we've been singing Stolly's praises the entire time is I got down to the end
Ninetales.
and I had a handful of points left and I looked at my team. I've been kind of avoiding the sun. Like obviously it's a kind of a no brainer to with Walking Week, but I was like, I did pick the Torclip earlier and it finally got taken and it's a decent rapid spinner and I was like, I have a Watermon and a Grassmon with Protosynthesis and I can pair them with a Firemon. That's a Fire Water Grass core. It can kind of work if their team's especially Fire Weak. I can also bring the Dirge. I was like, you know what? I'll do it. I'll pick up the Sun. I'll have the Sun team option. And Ninetales has got some funny things. It's got some decent coverage. It's got Healing Wish. I think it can do screens. And it's got like 100 base speed, so like it's a little extra speed. I don't have a ton of like crazy speed on my team. I have good speed mons, and I got a lot of priority, so like I don't feel terrible about my speed. But adding a little extra, I didn't think hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I thought it was a great pick. I I know you mentioned multiple times that it wasn't your plan, but I was like the way it was going is like, oh, this is what's going to happen. It's going to fall. Nobody's going to take it at this point. I could just feel it, and then it did.
Yeah, I mean the only other quote unquote Sun team was the New York Ninetales, and they already had Torkoal.
Hmm.
So like realistically, kind of I wasn't thinking about it, but like I could have taken it the same mindset that you did, where you're like, well, I got Excadrill, so there's 2 Sandmons left. I just have to pick the one that's left by the time that comes around. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I technically did that approach even though I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah, I think your team is pretty good.
But
It's
I
really
appreciate it. I
scary
mean,
with the defensive core. Um,
I would like to hear some critiques though. I mean, like, what do you think is going to be like things I'm going to struggle with other than freeze dry? Like, I mean, what do you think
um,
I should be on the lookout for here?
just generally getting outpaced because your team is like pretty good offensively, but it takes a little bit to get going with like Scaladirge isn't really doing much until it gets a couple Torch Tongs.
Hmm.
And while Scizor is like really strong, it's still like and Bullet Punch is good and it's with 60 base power instead of 40, it's still only 60 base power. Um, so if you don't have a Swords Dance up, you're not killing things. Ogerpon, it will help with that. I think that's you're probably your best like physical offense is going to be Ivy Cudgel. Um,
Hmm.
I guess it's but then outside of like I think your team can get kind of outpaced if you go into a really offensive team. I think um I don't know which team that would be, but I think that
Right. I
if you
think if they have the right offensive mons that do well against my defensive mons, then I could be in trouble.
yeah um and your team is not the bulkiest. Uh,
No.
yeah, you have the really nice defensive core at the top there with Skeledirge, Toxapex, and Donphan. But outside of that,
Hmm.
it's like oh these kind of you have a lot of or not a lot, but you have a couple 4 times weaknesses that you have 3 of them I guess if you count freeze dry. Uh,
Yeah,
you got
and
the
that's kind of that's an asterisk, right? So I mean,
yeah.
and so one of them's one's a Terra Captain, so he might not be there every time, and
Hmm.
he's also gonna be able to get rid of it. So it's not the worst. The big
Hmm.
one is Scizor, but I do have 2 water types, so it's not like and a
Hmm.
fire. Like if you look at my first 4 mons, like all 3 of those can switch in for Scizor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think it's solid, but I think it just lacks some like upfront offense if you don't if it's a bad wake week, I guess.
Understood. No, I can
Um,
see that for sure.
all right. Next up, we got Tekka and the Winterville Weavile. Um, this team is weird. I don't.
Well,
It's just a
you can
lot of
tell
weird
that
mons.
you can tell him and Weaselman collaborate. That's what I'll say
Yes.
about this team right off the bat. Um,
He did get
Garchomp,
Slowking in the
obviously,
fourth round, which is great, but
yeah. Oh, that's criminal. I talked about this earlier. We can go ahead and jump ahead to that. Those Slow Kings, after what you and I did, those should have been gone round 1. How did this one make it to round 4? Doesn't make any sense to me. I will never understand how that happened. Anyways, Slow King, we're talking about it. You get the Chili Reception, you got Regenerator, deep move pool. Nothing bad about this mon at all. Great mon.
he doesn't have my goats to Titan to pair with it, unfortunately. But Titan couldn't be a Terra Captain this time, so
Well, you don't want bulky Weavile with the ice.
it's so true. No, I do. I don't actually like the Weavile pick very much. I thought it was a little too expensive as well. But it's for the mascot pick, so I gotta respect it.
Weavile's good, especially since Chimpow's banned. It now fills its
Hmm.
role
That's
how it
true.
used to instead of being outpaced. It's got incredible speed. I think it's 135. You have Ice Shard for the rare chance that you are outsped. You have an amazing offensive type coverage with Ice and
Yeah.
Dark. Um, I think it has knockoff, and I think it has U-turn, which
I don't
are
think it
both
gets
great.
U-turn, but it does get knockoff.
Okay, I know Sneasler doesn't. No, you Sneasler does.
Caesar
Sneasler
does. I
does get
don't think
U-turn.
Weavile.
Sneasler does not get knockoff. So maybe they
Yes, it
switched there,
does.
but
Caesar gets
Sneasler does
knockoff.
not. No.
What? Are you
It
sure?
does not get knockoff. Yeah,
Okay.
it
All right.
looks knockoffy. It's got them big old
It
hands.
should. Yeah.
But it's my week 1, so I did look. So unless I missed it,
Yeah.
I
No.
don't think it has.
If you looked it up, I'm sure it doesn't. It looks like it should. So
It
therefore,
does. It looks like a knockoff mine. Like you look at it,
uh
this thing slaps you. Yep, this thing slaps your money on your hands. But
huh.
Garchomp honestly was one that I like debated verbally, like as my round 1. Like I know I said like Greninja was probably on the back burner, but also like Garchomp's amazing. It has great like supportive, or it can be offensive. It's just a good mon, hard to predict.
Hmm.
But he ended up picking it as round 1, and he was sweating when I was talking about it because for his brief moment he thought I was going to get it. I think that's a fantastic pickup.
Yeah.
You also get an electric
It's
immunity. Nothing wrong with Garchomp,
Yeah,
other
it
than
can
ice, I guess. But,
it can be the kind of defensive and set rocks and have like Rocky Helmet and Rough Skin.
mhm.
It can be offensive. It can like Scale Shot. It can be Swords Dance or Dragon Dance. Or does it get
Scarf?
Dragon Dance? I don't remember.
No, no,
But
no, no.
Swords Dance at least. Yeah,
That's
or it can
always
be
been his
Scarf.
thing. Is that's
Um,
always been the thing that like reels it in, is it doesn't have Dragon Dance.
okay. Necrozma is an interesting one. That's another like weird one. Um, I think a Meteor Beam, which is pretty cool. Um, but I really have no idea what it does outside of that.
I
Uh,
it so its signature move. It hits on whichever side is stronger. So like
okay.
that's cool. My
Hmm.
biggest problem with Necrozma on this team, and it wasn't a problem when he drafted it, it was a problem the next round, is that his defensive pivot for Necrozma shares 2 weaknesses with it. And I don't like that.
Hmm.
So I think Necrozma is a good mon. I don't know if it fits well with his defensive slow king there.
This team does not
Um,
like knockoff.
no, it does not. It absolutely does not like knockoff. So I honestly, if I were to fix this team, I would, even though I think Necrozma is good, I would tag it out for another offensive threat.
Yeah.
Like maybe like, well, he's already got Dragon, so I'd have to look at I'd have to go like relook at the chart. But I think there's probably something that fits better with Slow King.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. We got Sinistra next. We all know what Slowking does.
Yeah,
If
we've
you,
already talked about
yep, yep.
it. If you play
But
this league, you
Sinistra,
definitely know.
Sinistra is another again weird mon. I don't really know what it does in singles. Um.
It's got its own healing scald, which is cool.
Hmm.
It's a spin blocker, I suppose, as it's a ghost type.
Yeah.
Um, and then like beyond like kind of the obvious things, I mean, I can look it up real quick. Denisha,
Well, I know what it
gotcha.
does.
Oh,
I had
yeah,
it
Calm Mind.
last season.
Yeah,
In
well, in
doubles.
doubles, you
But
still
so I know
definitely
what it does there. Uh. But I don't know what
uh,
it does in singles.
so it's a Calm Mind mon, which makes sense. It's bulky. It has Strength Step, so like, Calm Mind Strength Step could be very annoying. So I see the vision. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah, I see what it does. It gets bulky, it heals up, it burns, it heals up more with its attack. Honestly, yeah, it just stays alive.
Does
Um,
this team
so
have a spinner?
it does. Unfortunately, they were spinners probably chosen by Weaselman. So he's got 3.
Three.
So I Hitmonlee's a spinner. I think
Really?
Morpeko's a spinner, and I think Kamala's a spinner. I need to double check Morpeko. Um, I know the other 2 are.
Huh.
There's the more. Of course, there's no use of Stetch. I'm pretty certain Morpeko also has it. But even if I'm wrong, the problem here, regardless if it's 2 or 3, is you come to that situation where if you want a spinner, you have to bring what I would say is a pretty bad mon.
Yeah.
Hitmonlee's okay. You're not really getting off unburdened though, unless you're doing like the fake out normal gym. Um, it did get better with the DLC. It got knockoff back. So like fighting types having knockoffs always great. But again, Hitmonlee's only like base. I think it's 87 speed, and like if you don't
Hmm.
unburden, then like it puts it in a weird tier because it's very as low HP as low defense, and it's got reasonable special bulk, but like it's not taking a lot of hits.
Yeah.
So I don't like his hazard removal. I'll say that. So like I'm looking at like the last like 5 mons in the team, and I'm like, I don't know what you're here for. I know Earthworm's an okay Terra Captain because it has Earth Eater. Like it's
Yeah.
funny. If you let it set up, it can do things with like body press.
hmm
So that
Yeah.
one's okay.
Orthworm's is a decent pick. But yeah. Look, this team is so physical. Looking at it, like,
Well,
wow.
so Typhlosion obviously is a big special mon, but you have to have the hazards clear if you're going to do a Typhlosion sweep.
hmm
And if you're going to do a utility Typhlosion, like a normal Typhlosion, you would have picked the Ghost one because you get a different stab, and you get like Infernal Parade and stuff. So like, again, I would like better hazard removal, and maybe, definitely maybe. I don't like filling out 12 slots if it means you have bad stuff. So I would prefer him taking those last 3 and combine them into like a better Pokemon.
hmm
I don't know what good rapid spinners and defoggers are left. I'd have to look. That's a different conversation. That's different from what we're talking about. The only thing we haven't talked about is the Pheasantipity pick, which I don't know how I feel about
Weird mon.
Pheasantipity as
I don't.
it's a weird mon.
I don't like it in
It does
singles. Um.
do 2 important things. It's a fairy type and it's a poison type. So it switches into dragon moves
hmm
and it cleans up toxic spikes. So in that regard, without doing anything else, it's an okay pickup. But otherwise it's like 99 speed and then what does it do? I don't know
It's
that part.
Pred's toxic. I guess.
Yes, true. Toxic chain. It has technician. That's weird. I
Yeah.
don't know what moves it
So
has
what
for
you
that.
do is you go like beat up with toxic chain, and you just like, basically guarantee a big poison.
Toxic. Yeah, I
Um.
guess so. It's like untauntable toxic.
Yeah.
It
I
has
don't.
U-turn. I do like that. Um, it it's actually more physical than it is special, which is
It
weird.
is.
It has technician double kick, which I guess is neat coverage.
It's something.
Got roost. Sword dance, thief, taunt, calm mind. It's all over the place, man.
Yeah.
But what I will say though is I do appreciate the options. I do
hmm
love having options, and again, it's already filling its roles by being a poison and a fairy, so I don't hate the pick. Um,
It could surprise me.
yeah,
I'm
I think
open to
so.
being wrong, but I don't think it's very good.
I think
Especially there's
this.
a lot of these Pokemon. um,
I think this team has a lot of good ingredients. I think I would swap out the Necrozma for another power pick just to synergize better with Slowking, and then those last 3 I would combine into something a little bit more usable. But otherwise, I think this team has a great start, and I think it can be patched up to be fantastic.
mhm.
And he's got
All
2
right.
points remaining.
Oh,
So I mean, other than the last 3 disappearing, he's got other points to work with. He could definitely get something nice to fit in that last slot.
mhm. All right. Next we got the Swedish Cinderace, Cinderaces, as some would say.
Cinderaces. Would
Um,
they?
Wolfie. Wolfie says Cinderace.
Oh, does
Um,
he?
yep.
Wolfie says a lot of things.
um, this is a VGC team. Um, that's what I have to say about that one.
Well, okay, so
This is
season one, he did draft the Funny Monkey and Sneasler. Like those were his round 2 and 3 picks.
mhm,
So like this was a kind of expected. He did show up late in the draft, and Tyler Tomba rather picked these up for him, and he was happy. He was tickled to death. So like this is what he wanted.
mhm.
So obviously you get the funny like Grassy Train, Unburdened, Sneasler, go really fast, zoom like combo, right?
Yeah. Um, but like every single one of these mons except for Honchkrow and Foretris are VGC mons. It's so funny. Some of them are
Which is
both,
ironic.
but
It's ironic because he didn't play the
I
VGC
know.
season, right?
Uh-huh.
But I mean, my VGC team had both Como and Rillaboom, so like I'm somewhat familiar with that. But I mean, obviously, Como appreciates the passive healing when he's setting up. You could do body press sets. You can do Clangor Soul. He has a pretty deep move pool. You could really just do he could do a lot. You could do like a Salvet, whatever. Like
Yeah,
Como does a
yeah.
lot of stuff. I like Como. Again, I had used him before, so I want to use something new. But I do like the Como. I think his first 3 mons are very synergistic. I like them. I don't know what Incineroar does
Yeah.
differently in singles than he does in doubles, but I think it was
I think
surprisingly a decent amount of points too. Is the other thing.
yeah, it was. It was a little expensive. I didn't love
10.
I didn't Love that.
I guess
But
ten's fine. It keeps it from being a Terra captain, I guess, but
hmm
I don't know.
Screamtail is a great pick though. That's a really good
Oh,
mon.
gosh, I hate that. I don't want to hate that mod, but Dave from season 1 made me play a game that was 101 turns,
Yep.
and it would have been longer if I didn't bring the eerie spell on my Slow King to drain it of its wishing and all that bullcrap. So
hmm
I hate this mon. It's a great mon. It's a great wishing mon. It's fast. And he does have some bulky mons with Como and Rillaboom that probably will be the recipients. And
hmm
I think the wish support fits well in this team. He's got bulky mons
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are going to get healing. So
Oh
I do
yeah.
think it's a good pickup.
I remember I also played Dave, and like that is probably the worst video on my channel. So I'm just sitting there like about to fall asleep, and I was like, dude, just forfeit. Like you're in an unwinnable situation, but no, he's gonna keep wishing and protecting and stalling it out. I was like, oh god. So I agree. I
Uh,
feel the sentiment of
I,
Screamtail, but
I am a you know what, I have a little trick in my pocket. I'm going to save it for later. I'm not going to talk about it here because this will be
mm,
watched. But
uh-huh.
they've made new things to deal with this thing. So
Okay.
I'll say that much.
But yeah, the rest of the team, I think Mousehold has Tidy Up's really good, like just great move. Um, can't be
Tidy up.
blocked by ghost types.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and also it's just Dragon Dance. It's just Dragon Dance with upside.
It
Um,
it definitely makes you want to bring a Rocky Helmet Mon when you face this team, right?
mhm.
Just switch it and watch the Mousehold
A
kill itself.
population bomb. um, and then Dozo it's unaware, right?
It's unaware. It gives him a bulky water type, and it gets the fire water grass core. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a good pickup. It does need setup to really be effective.
The I
Which it can
think
do, curse or whatever.
the biggest problem I see with this team is that everything is physical.
Oh no, that's a huge problem with this. I definitely noticed that. This team is all physical, and he has until Sunday night to do something about it because that's just a
Mm-hmm.
huge problem. They're literally the only special attackers are like Como can be special, which is fine, and then the other follow up special is like base 55 and 60, 65, something like the Screamtail,
Yeah,
right? So like literally, it's all physical. I guess Honchko could be, but again, the physical attack's higher than the special attack.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, no, huge weakness of this team. This is I really liked this team up until the point where I realized like, oh, if there's like just a physical, if someone wants to just like iron defense on you, you might just lose.
Yeah, I don't know how
Like
this team beats Orthworm. Um,
he's got spikes, rocks, and rapid spin consolidated into fortress. And he
mhm,
did make a
and
Terra captain,
and
which is
tidy up,
good. I
obviously, like we said
Yeah,
before.
that's true. So he's got ways to handle hazards. I do like making Fortress a Terra Captain because if you're bringing it, you don't really want like the big, 4 times weakness on a slow mon like that, with no priority. It is a slow volt switcher, so like you got Terra Steel, normal, obviously. How do you say I'm going to explode without actually saying I'm going to explode? Is Terra normal? Um, and then you have Terra Water, which is a great defensive type. So I
Yep.
like the Terra type. And then the other one is Mousehold, so you get the obvious normal, the
hmm
Ghost to block spins.
I don't know what Bug is
And
doing there, but it's funny.
he must have a stab bug move or something. I don't
I
know.
don't think he does. I do not
Does
think
he have
it
like
gets.
does he have uh, tidy up population bub encore bite? Yeah, I don't know what. I guess it resists fighting, but you already have Ghost, so like I don't know. I strange, but he's probably
hmm
going to do normal or Ghost either way, so it's not a big deal. I kind
Yep.
of felt that way about putting my third Terra type on Vikavolt, which was like Dragon. And I was just like, I guess like it resists a lot of
Sure.
things, but like
Uh
I'm
huh.
probably gonna do electric or poison. Like,
hmm
um, but no, I mean I think the Terra captains are fine. Like you said, I think the only problem with this team is the fact that it only hits on the physical side. Other than that, I think it's very solid. It's got healing. It's got thick mons. It's got priority. Um, it's got switch initiative. It's everything. It has everything except a special attacker.
Yep.
And
Which
that's
I mean, that is
really
kind of big.
Como's.
So
Yeah, Como's like carrying. Yeah, it's really big. So I mean, if I were to fix this, maybe I would trade. There's got to be a special fire you could trade Incineroar out for, maybe. Like
I would
that would
think
be a
so.
good
Yeah.
swap. Um, like Memo's good, but like I guess that's its only like grounds. Like the Memo's fine. I think the Incineroar for a special fire would be like a good swap.
Hmm.
Or maybe if you want to get like a budget one, maybe the Honchko. I don't know how many points that was, but
All right. Let's move on. We're pushing 2 hours now.
yeah,
Um,
it's always
let's
gonna be a long talk. But
yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
But I think I don't have anything else to say about that team. It's only 10 bonds. They're all physical. Um,
Yep.
all right. Next
All
up, we
right,
got Weasel
Joltik.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yep, like you said, clearly collaborated with Tekka. Just weird team.
He always picks weird mons. That's his thing. He likes weird goobers. Um, but he did get a fantastic round one pick with Darkrai. Made it all the way down to him. It was one of the tier 19 picks. Fast
Hmm.
mon, Bolt Beam. So yeah, good for him. I mean, that's a great mon to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the gameplay that it provides, and like hit your hypnosis and you win, miss and you lose. But like,
I don't know if he'll do that. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, you get the
um,
was it Nightmare? No, what's his ability called? Nightmare?
bad dreams or nightmares. I don't know,
Bad Dreams
something
is the
like that.
move, so I think it's Nightmare.
Okay.
But so it gets a little chip each turn. I don't know if you're gonna go hit for Hypnosis on this Mon. I mean, I guess you could and do like Blunder Policy or something weird, but it doesn't seem necessary. It's got good coverage, and that's what you want in a draft, and it's already like really fast and really it's gonna hit hard.
Yeah, I
So,
don't know if you just wanted like a fast special attacking dark type, I would have preferred Greninja. Um,
hmm
but yeah,
well,
it's
you
fine.
could. I don't know if he has any. I feel like Jirachi has gravity, and doesn't don't the Apple Pokemon have like that move that gets like really powerful in gravity,
Oh
and then that
yeah,
also would help.
Grav Apple.
And that would also help your hypnosis's land too. So
Hmm.
he could do like gravity
That's
shenanigans.
cool,
That would be kind
actually.
of neat. Yeah.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't do it against
Uh,
me. That
I may have spilled the secret sauce. That just showed up to me in front of my face. I was literally not thinking about it until just then. But
hmm.
and then you have Raging Bolt, which is all three of the beasts got drafted, and none of the what do you call them? The Swords of Justice Metal
Yeah.
Swords of Justice got drafted. But the obviously a good Calm Mind setupper. It's got priority, electric. Just hits hard. I don't know what it synergizes with. It might not have to synergize with anything, honestly. It just seems like a really good
It's just a
mon.
really good mon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Hydrapple, on the other hand, I don't think that's a very good mon in singles. To be honest, it's not a very good mon in doubles either. Actually, I just think like, not being able
I
to
mean,
Terra it is really rough.
I
Um.
do think that's rough, and I don't know. I mean, is that mon doing that much that it can't be a Terra captain? Because I don't know anything about it, to be honest, other than it's ice
I
quad
think it was
weak.
10. I think it was 10 points.
I'm looking. 11. Wow.
11. Yeah.
I think if you didn't want it to Terra, at the very least, it should have been 10. But maybe it does some cool things I don't know about. I know it has
It's
like
got
the
to
weird
move.
like dragon
Um.
move that can sometimes be more powerful, which I don't like
Yeah.
the consistency of that. But
Agreed. But sometimes you just get a nuke for free, so it's like,
I mean,
I
what's the
see
power
why.
difference?
Doubles.
And what's the base?
Um.
Is it like
Probably 80.
60 or is like oh, okay, that's decent then. That's decent. I'm looking at common sets, recover, Giga Drain, Earth Power, Body Press, and then there's Fickle Beam.
Death.
So
Yeah, that's the
I mean, it
move.
has a good move pool at least. But it's slow as sin. So like
4 times
I don't
weak to
know.
ice, can't Terra,
I
and
think
it's
if you
like
just have
not.
tech some ice moves, if you tech some ice moves on your team, then you're not worried about this mon.
Hmm. Um. This we got Araquanid. See whoever. That's all
That's a
I know
good
it does.
that's probably I would say one of the better sticky webbers.
Mm,
I think Vancha's great. I think this mon can hit like a truck with water
it
bubble.
can.
Um, so I think that's a really solid pickup, and it fits his weird Pokemon niche. So that's fine. He didn't have a water type before this. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable mon. You do have to watch out for rocks.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. That's
this mon
another
and
thing
the
with
next.
this team is that their only spinner is
Yes.
Cryogonal, and Cryogonal is
And
bad.
it's dog, and you don't. I mean, it probably has some like shiny poop moments, but
Hmm.
it's still a turd. And I don't like having roles that you're trying to cover be covered by just not good months. So this team has got a lot of cool stuff. I would like to see better hazard removal for sure. I'm with you on that. Especially since one of your more powerful mons is reliant on keeping the rocks off the field, and that's Iron Moth.
Hmm.
Um, Granted, it's not a 4 times weakness like it is with Volcarona, but
Still.
it's still gonna come in and hit things and not immediately die. I mean, it's got 110 base speed, so it is fast. So like it can kind of circumvent it a little bit, but
It's not. Something I do know about Volcarona though is that it cannot run booster speed.
oh really? Like
Its
there's
speed
no
will
way to
not.
do that.
You have to run zero special attack and max speed timid. Um,
Oh, and it's not worth.
I believe you can run it's like 32 special attack EVs, and that's like the most you can get before you're more than your speed.
Okay, well, I mean it's at least possible. They made it literally impossible for
Yeah,
brute bots.
no,
but
but like it's to the point where it's like it's pretty bad. It's rough out there for it. Um,
okay. I mean, it hits hard and it is
and
fast, so it
110
does
speed
have
isn't
stuff.
is like decent. That's
It's
pretty
very
good.
good. It's
Um,
very good. It's definitely one of those like tiers to reach in speed, right? Where like you kind of forcing
mhm,
your opponent to like. I do think I didn't mention this. I didn't mention this when we were at my team, but one of the valuable things about me having Worm Moon in season 1 was it was 119 base speed, so it did force my opponent for a lot of their mons to fully invest in speed. The problem
mhm.
is when you don't reach certain tiers, Pokemon can start allocating speed points towards like bulk, right?
Yes.
Um, and granted, he has Darkrai, so not really a problem here. I don't know why I even went down that pipe because Darkrai's like 130, right? 135 maybe.
Is it that fast?
I thought it was. Maybe I'm tripping. Let me see. Oh, it's 125. 125.
Okay.
So he definitely gets the higher speed tier. So that's covered. I don't think that's a problem. Um, Iron Moth, Fiery Dance, Sludge Wave, Psychic. It's got some grass moves, so it's got a decent move pool. Not the craziest, but it is picking up the toxic spikes for his team. I guess he has technically Survivor too, but I'm not going there. So yeah, Iron Moth solid. Mudsdale, that could be solid depending on how much he spent on it.
If it was a budget mon, it's pretty decent budget mon.
Yeah, that's fine budget mon. Where is it? 7 points. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm okay with Mudsdale.
it's a Terra Captain as
Um,
well for him.
okay, yeah, solid. It's got stamina, so like if the opponent if he's facing the Swedish Cinderaces, he can just throw out Mudsdale and get some stamina boost and GG.
Mhm.
Uh, so that's fine. He got a fairy type, which I think is also fine. I don't know too much about it
Yeah,
other
a
than it's
lot
like
of these
Earth.
monsters really slow is the problem. Um,
Yeah, he's got 2 fast mons, and then Jirachi is Jirachi base
it's
100? Is that
100.
one of those?
Yeah,
Okay, so
but
he's got
then
3 fast mons, but then he doesn't have any prior. No, he's got electric priority. It's not the worst. It's not the
it's got
worst.
Bolt, Araquanid, Mudsdale, Enamorus, Houndstone,
I
and Seviper are all
it's I
slow.
Yeah, I think so that's a fair statement. It's like it's either all or nothing, right? So like
Yeah.
that middle speed echelon, you don't threaten, and again, if your Pokemon's not outspeed something already, then you just start investing in bulk. So
Mm-hmm.
that you're right. That is a fair point.
Because he
Um,
has Houndstone. I've had Houndstone before.
so what does it
With
do outside of
sand.
sand though?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I was
nothing.
gonna say was
Um,
because
there
it
is
doesn't have last respects.
uh-uh. And the support it offered outside of Last Respects in VGC was like fast Will-O-Wisp, fast Snarl, fast
Mhm.
Charm. Um,
Right,
like,
right.
and you can't do that here. So
Yeah, I don't know what it does. And then Viper, I don't know. Maybe that was like he had 2 points left over or something. He's got no
yeah.
points left over. I don't know what that is. I really wish I do hope in like Gen 10 Viper and Zangoose get like some love because I feel like that's a cool little rivalry. I'd like to see like
Mm-hmm.
them get better.
Agreed.
But so the only thing I can think about Viper is I think it has a decent move pool, but it's just like dog
Yeah.
slow, and it's one of those Pokemon that distributes its stats between both attack and special attack like
Mm-hmm.
evenly. So like stat distribution is not great. People are doing coil sets with glare and switcheroo, which is like, yeah, I don't know.
Eh,
I
it's
don't
fine.
love it. Um,
All right. Yeah, this weird team. That's about it on that one. I think.
I think so.
It really needs a better spinner, but I don't know if there's one available for it.
I think that, yeah, I think that's the big thing for sure.
All right, next we got the East Side Emboars. Um,
Hmm.
and this is where at first I had this team rated pretty highly because in a vacuum, I think every single pick is a pick that I like. Um,
Okay.
However, I do not think it actually comes together well as a cohesive team, and he overlaps roles quite a bit.
Okay. I mean, go. I
Um,
mean, dive into it. I mean,
okay, yeah, yeah.
give me a roll.
So,
Yeah.
so like Grimmsnarl and Meowstic, I thought that Meowstic like getting both is pretty cool. Um, they do two different jobs, and Meowstic Male is like kind of a budget Grimmsnarl, but then he already had Grimmsnarl, so we didn't really need that. Um,
No. Well, and I
and
think
then
to be fair, when he drafted it, he thought they were separate, and so he did intentionally draft the female, which is
yeah,
like a competitive mod, which is not crazy for singles, right? But
yeah, I don't think it's that good of a competitive. I think it's like
it's not.
it's the only reason you take the value is so you can get both, and he already had Grimmsnarl. This team is like pretty steel weak because the only resists are like Bisharp and the Eel. Um,
And Bundle, but Bundle does not want to. Well, Bundle's got
mm,
physical defense, I guess, but
yeah, it can't be a
um,
flash cannon. And it doesn't even resist.
no,
It's per ice type.
yeah, that's true. You're right.
Um,
So
and then
Rose
like
Garganucci is
um
not going to take it that well either. So yeah, I don't know.
um
So Lectros and what was the other one you said? Oh,
mm,
Bisharp. Okay, so I mean, Evilite Bisharp maybe, but neither one of them have recovery. So
yeah, and Bishop still doesn't even with Eviolite still doesn't really want to take a flat it like doesn't want to switch in on a flash cannon and then get hit by something else presumably.
mhm.
Um, so like Lilligant is like I like it a lot. In a vacuum, I think it's pretty good. Think Quiver Dance Mon. But I don't know how well it fits on this team. That's kind of a lot of the like. There's not a
it's a
lot of synergy going on like along with
it's a
it
weird
overall.
it's a weird pickup after Toad's Cool, right? Like but before that, you're
Hmm.
like, oh, he's just trying to check off his grass type, but like you just got
Hmm.
a grass type. Um, and granted, I guess that grass type is a rapid spinner, and then Smeargle's whatever you want it to be. So I guess it's also hazard removal, and
Yeah,
then
Spiral's
has
just
he's got
annoying.
yeah, it's annoying. You don't know what it's gonna do. Like that's okay. Terrible stats otherwise. Moody's banned,
I
so
think
like
where this team really loses me is the Terra captains.
I think
I
no, I
think,
think Bishop's a great captain. I think he's one
but
of the
I don't
better
like the.
captains.
But why is he not? Why does he not have Ghost or Flying?
Oh, I
As
see what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying.
like, I agree. I
No,
think a Bishop would have been a great Terra captain. But then he went Dark and Steel, and then Water was the last one. Like, I don't get that. Um, and then Meowstic, I think he was a pretty bad Terra captain. I don't know what Fire is doing on it.
let me see. Did he have any other options for Terra captains? Like Eastside Embor, we have Bishop was 8, so Electros could have been one. I think that would have been oh Toadscroll
Yeah.
also could have been one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Toadscroll actually Toadscroll would have been really great because like you get like a defensive
Get rid
type
of
and you
the
start
ice
getting those
weakness.
force. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I do think Meowstic's a strange choice. He definitely and that was only 4 points too. So like he left it. Yeah, I think he could have done better than Meowstic as a captain, but
Mm.
maybe he's got some soft. Because admittedly, other than competitive, I don't know what female Meowstic does.
It's just an offensive mon. It's just a mediocre offensive mon. That's
Yeah.
it. Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So on paper, I like a lot of I like every single one of these mons. Um, maybe I would switch Grimmsnarl out for something else because if you want to keep the Meowstic, that's like
Mhm.
maybe something that kind of ties like glues the team together a little better. 'Cause he already has a fairy and a
Yeah,
dark type, and
it's true.
Grimmsnarl,
He's got it's repeating typings, and this
and
is
he
kind
has
of
a
I
he has
agree.
a
I
screen
agree.
setter in Meowstic Male.
It's an expensive mon that already has roles covered, which obviously he was picked up first, so it's kind of like a reverse situation.
Mhm,
This happened with Thomas. Like Iron Hand's obviously a good mon, but he had Zapdos and he had Blaziken. I was like, okay, well, if we're
mhm.
gonna bounce out your team, we can afford to get Iron Hand. So that's the same principle here. I think he could definitely let go of Grimmsnarl and get like another like high point mon that would like really flesh out the team. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good point. Otherwise, let me see. He's got hazard removal. He's got hazards. I know Lando's got him. Clefable's got rocks. Smeagol's got whatever
Mhm.
he wants, so
Kirill
that's
has
fine.
literally anything.
Yeah. Speed. He's got bundle. Lando's usually can be scarfed, or otherwise not super fast.
Yeah, he can quiver dance
I
with
guess he's a
Lilligant to
little.
boost that, but
Yeah. Actually this team's actually kind of slow. I guess you have sucker punch with Bisharp,
it's pretty ice
and
weak
then
too.
um yeah.
With two four times weaknesses to ice, and then Lilligant as well. It's like that's rough.
It's interesting because the Clefable was a weird round 4 pick because he already had a fairy. So like I don't know why he needed Clefable that bad.
Hmm.
I do think the Garganackle pick was great. I'm surprised that Mon went so late
Yeah.
in the draft. I honestly personally forgot about it myself. But
Yeah, I think
it's like
um the defensive core of like intimidate spreading with Landorus and it being a pretty Pokemon outside of the ice weakness, and then Clefable and Garganacl, I think that's pretty good.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gives you wish support with the Clefable, right?
mhm. It's just one of those. I think that there's a lot of good parts to this team. Like I said, I like every pick in a vacuum. Um, but it's not a vacuum. This is a this is a fully formed
Yeah.
team. Well, I don't think it.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to come out fully done. I guess needs a little bit more
So
time to cook.
so our analysis on this is maybe change up Meowstic and get one of the other either Electros or Toedscruel as a Katerra captain would be an improvement, and then like
Hmm.
maybe tag out
The
the
Grim for
Grims so
something
you have those
else.
roles covered. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, it has got a lot of good pieces. Just needs a little bit more glue to kind of like mix and match it, get it to, to something more uh, solid and balanced out.
Hmm. All right. Next up, we got me. I guess this is for some reason Kane is in the wrong spot, but
Is
we'll do
he?
me next.
It got dragged. Yeah, I can fix it. But
Oh,
the
it's fine. We leave it there for now because we got to talk. We'll talk
yeah,
about him.
that's true. That's true. But yeah, you're right. You were the second to last in the draft order, I believe. But the all right. So right off the bat, I just want to throw this out there, and I know you did this on purpose by picking Shiny Jumpluff and
My
the
team's so
Oricorio
pink
form.
and purple.
Yeah, and the Tatsugiri. This is probably this team hurts my eyes the most. And I think I put out a tier list of like the best looking teams, the ugliest teams. I think I had yours at the bottom. I don't like looking at your team. Like that's just the sad fact about it. I think making the jump off go from blue to pink hurt it so much. But I know you did it on purpose.
Oh yeah, it's
So,
so
anyways,
pink and purple.
your round one Rabombi. I think that's an interesting round one. Obviously you get like the best sticky ever. But I mean, tell me what made you want to get Rabombi round one?
I just wanted so there's a lot of bonds that I think are like underexplored and like pretty that would be a lot better if they were just a little bit faster. So I really
Mhm.
wanted like the best sticky Weber to just guarantee like make sure it can, and also it's not just a sticky Weber like some of the other ones like Spite Ops. I didn't want like something like
Yeah.
bad
Oh yeah.
like Spite Ops or Ariados. I wanted something that could do something else. And I don't love Galvantula. So it's basically between Araquanid and Ribombee. Rabombi's a clear winner in my head.
And you
I've
used it in season one too, right? Didn't you?
season
Or was
two
it?
in VGC.
Oh, okay. But you get a fairy type immediately for that. You get a quiver
Hmm.
dancer. So you get some cool things out of the gate. It's just an unorthodox pick, but your ordering in general, in terms of how you drafted, I would say is pretty unorthodox, right?
Yes. I would say so, but that's what I get. That's what I get for like being at the end and knowing like pretty much what I can get. I can make it look a little sillier by
Mhm.
picking the lower point mon first. Um,
Well, you're and how many points was Rabombi? Now that you've brought that
11.
up, okay, yeah, that was a budget pick for sure. And you followed it up with Cinderace, so you took court change off
Hmm.
the board for anybody else. And
Yes,
I think
that
you
was
told me
why.
before that you don't want anybody else to court change. Like you want to
Yes.
put up hazards. Yep, okay, fair enough. There's merit to that. I think in season one, Kane picked up Grimmsnarl because he didn't want anybody else to Grimmsnarl him. So
Yep. Um, what I really wanted was Ribombee Extra. I thought that was gonna be a really nice pairing, but I was like, well,
we
Cinderace
got
is
it.
still on the board. I'll take
Yeah.
that. And then Extra fell to me again. I was like, oh, all right, I'll take it. Um,
Well, I mean, it's a very fast Firemon, so that's good in
hmm.
general. And then of course you got your extra drill anyways in round three, which gives you your own rapid spin, so you don't have to court change if you don't want to, like if you
Hmm.
already have webs or something on the other side. So that's good. Of course, the I called you out. I was like, okay, well your next bond's we know what it's gonna be, and then you made me wait until the very end because nobody else grabbed sand, so you could afford to do that. And you did have T-Tar there, but you opted in terms of your typings. You thought the ground would be better. I think was the swap
Yeah,
there.
I was super ground weak, and honestly a little bit fighting weak. So I was like, and then what was my? I forgot what I had as my other like bad mon that I traded out for Oricorio. Um, but it was
Uh,
Ampharos. It was Ampharos, which
okay,
again ground weak. Um, and so
true.
I was like, okay, I only have like one. I have one immunity and one resist. I need to fix this up. Um, and so Tyranitar is very cool. I love Tyranitar. but
He's very
not being able to tear it, it's a big rock dark is such a terrible typing. So not being able to get rid of that was rough. And Hippo, I wasn't planning on getting it, but it fell out
season
that I
one pick.
could. Um,
Yep,
and
yep.
also I felt like it's something I talked about in the call afterwards, but the opportunity cost of setting rocks with Excadrill or Tyranitar is a lot higher than the cost of setting rocks with Hippo. Because Hippo can just, if you take some damage, can heal it right back. You don't have to worry
Hmm.
about like setting rocks and then getting hit for like a big chunk. You just get your rocks up anyways. And Oricorio I thought was just a great value pick. For you get 4 mons in one. It can be a spin blocker when I want it to be a spin blocker. It can be an electric type to say when
Hmm.
I need it to be. I probably won't use the fire or psychic as much, but the second one's not terrible. It's like a discount Gardecuno.
I know you messaged me before the draft. You said, "Hey, why not let
Yeah,
Oricorio Terra?" And I was like,
yeah.
"No."
Well,
And
like
I see you were scheming though.
um, I was like, I think that's like one of the only like cool thing that Oricorio does in singles is that like you can
Revelation
revelation is
dense.
changes
Yeah,
based on your typing, not on your not on the form. Um,
yeah. But I mean, there's a reason it and the Tauroses are not allowed. So
well, why are
the
the Taurus' Raging Bull doesn't change?
I think the Tauros
No,
signature one does.
no, it doesn't. Raging Bull only changes on your form, not on your typing.
Okay. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I haven't used either one.
Um,
I didn't make the tiering other than like
yeah.
we pulled Dave into a call and like, okay, this is this is from last season. Is there anything that could have been balanced out? So there were like a handful of changes, but generally speaking, this is from the Shuckle League, our tier list. So established. I
Mhm,
didn't want to make those calls myself for sure. Um,
yeah.
you got the so you got your sand core. I don't have any other mons that are like immune to the sand chip. I don't think.
Nope. Um,
Which is interesting.
it's
You have
I honestly think
go
that
ahead.
like I'm more often than people will expect. I think I might be like running Mold Breaker. Because there's a lot of levitate mons in the draft. Like in
Well,
the
and I always think there's a criminally undrafted amount of Rotoms. I feel like Rotoms are so good. Because the bad ones are they can be terrestrialized, and they're
three,
just levitate with no
yeah.
weaknesses. And then
Well,
you
three
have
of them
heat, which
got
is
picked.
the fan got picked, wash got picked.
He got
What's
picked,
the other
didn't
one?
it?
No, heat did not get picked.
Oh, okay.
Which it happens every season, and I think it's so criminal. I realize that yes, you have to run boots on it, but like it's still a good defensive typing.
Hmm.
Um, so I love heat, but yeah, I get it, but at the same time I don't. I think it should have been picked up. Um, it didn't get picked up
Then
previous season either until I talked to my buddy World, who was playing in season 2, and I said, hey, you should pick up Rotom Heat, because I don't think he had a fire type or something. Either way,
hmm, hmm.
going down a rabbit hole here. The
Yeah.
you have the trapping. I know you cleared this
Oh,
one up with me too.
oh
The
yeah.
Gothitelle.
Don't share this one. That's my
I won't. I
absolute.
won't. Well,
My,
yeah, I'm just saying what she does. I'm not gonna say your strats, but yeah, obviously she's a trapper, and that's what she does. The
my absolutely
and then
diabolical tech.
now the jump bluff. It's like you're an interesting draft, but for round 5, jump bluff is extremely interesting. What's your
Hmm.
motivation there?
There was not a lot that I wanted in the like mid tiers. Um, and I was like, if somebody else like has looked through the one pointers as extensively as I have, they will also see that like Jump Bluff is pretty clearly better, like ahead of the pack. Um, and I wanted to just
That was a
guarantee,
1 point mon.
yes.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
uh, and I also knew I wanted it as a Terra Captain. Because I think if I ever want to just like leech seed stall with it, being able to like Terra out of the 4 times ice weakness is going to and the flying weakness is going to be like really important. Um,
Yeah,
but
fast sleep powder is always a thing too.
mhm. It also can sword stance, which most people don't know. Um, it's on 55 attack, but still, you set up like 2 sword stances, get lucky with your sleep turns. You know, that's
He's a funny little guy. I mean, it's 1 point, so you're not hurting for it.
mhm.
And then I know you're around 6 hurt Kane's feelings because you grabbed
I know.
the dark poison that he wanted. So I mean, you got your
Hmm.
hazard cleanup, you got your um psychic immunity, but at this point in your draft, you didn't really have a psychic problem.
I don't have a psych
Actually, I don't
problem
think you have. I don't
anywhere.
think you have. Yeah, in general, you don't. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of whatever. So it's really the poison cleanup was
hmm
the value there.
and I wanted
It also
something.
has intimidate, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Um, and it's just pretty bulky. I've used it like a lot. I had it last in the VGC league. Um, just generally bulky. I like the like I said before with like dark poison is really good defensive typing. Only weak to ground, and I can make it a Terra Captain to get rid of that. It gets
Tragic you
it
don't
could.
play against the rain team.
I know
So you got to
I could
switch
go
them.
Swift Swim. But yeah, I think it's a really good value pick. I think that's what this draft is kind of focused around, is finding value in
Well, I think
places.
if you're gonna fill out your roster, that's like the important. If you're gonna have a full 12 mon team, you really have to
hmm
focus on that value to make it work. Because again, I've said this on some of the other teams. It's like I would have really rathered them consolidate, have less than 12, but have better picks. But like you said, you have good budget picks here. So I don't raise my eyebrow at too many of these mons at all. Like I mean, jump off maybe, but it's 1 point. So like I'm not raising my eyebrow at 1 point. Um, Tatsugiri, I think, is a weird one for me. I mean, I know it has rapid spin as an option, but otherwise,
Uh,
it's like,
so it's 120 special attack. It's pretty good, and also it's Storm Drain. That's like the most important part. Um,
I guess so. I
so
guess
my
so.
team is a little water weak.
Well,
Um, but
your ground core at least is, or
yeah.
your sand core is.
hmm
But yeah, okay. I mean, it's fine.
And
I would
so
have preferred gas. I would have preferred Gestra maybe, but
uh, I like things that can go move at any sort of reasonable pace. Um, but
okay, okay. What's the base speed of it? Like 80 or something?
like 86, I think.
Okay,
But with like I said, with sticky webs, it'll still be outspeeding things. Um,
that's fair.
that's a lot of these mons is like they're middling speed, but if I get a sticky web
Well,
up, um,
you brought up webs again, so you have your spin blocker next, which is Sableye. I think you had that season one
mhm,
as well.
I
It was
did.
definitely one of
That
my.
was
It's one of my night. I really like this mon in Gen 1, and this is again. If you play, do you play the Cinderaces? You don't. Like against that team, you can just do the Will-O-Wisp
Will-O-Wisp.
button and hit recover. You
Uh-huh.
Will-O-Wisp recover, like, and you just win. Granted, recover is now down to APP, but like that was the case in Gen 6 when I used him a lot. So I do like the Mon. Prankster's always fun. You know, he gets both weathers. So if you go up against another weather team, well, I
hmm
mean, you can just switch and stand, but whatever. He's got cool stuff, and he's pretty cheap, so it's a good utility pick.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I love it. It can even do screens if you want. Um,
yep.
it can it kind of has four move thought syndrome where you kind of want to do like everything with it, but you
hmm
only get four. Um, and then we got Ambipom, one of my favorite Pokemon, just in general. Um,
Technician Mon,
it's
right?
yes, and it gets triple axle. So technician
That moves.
boosted triple axle is like it's
That's
absurd. It's
crazy,
so
actually.
strong. Yeah,
I didn't even think about that.
'cause
Um,
every single hit gets boosted.
and it's like one of the few cases where you run fake out in singles because he's hitting so hard with it.
hmm
Um,
And
yeah,
then
that
there's another so something I really like with Terra Captains. I want mons that can get usage out of all three of their like Terras. Because there's some that
mhm.
like you don't really want it to keep your big base type. Um, but Empom, like sometimes you just want to go Terra normal double edge, and that's all. That's like it's
Fake out double
super.
edge does a lot of damage.
Uh-huh.
What's the base speed on this monkey?
It's over 100. It's pretty fast.
Okay. And
I
obviously,
don't
Ghost
quite
makes your
remember.
spin blocker, gets rid of your one weakness, and
Mm-hmm.
then Ice, you're boosting triple axle, I guess, is the goal
Yep.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope you
Um.
hit all your triple axles except for whatever week you play me.
uh, I will simply hit my moves. Um,
Simply hit
that's
them.
something that I didn't do in season two, and notably didn't make top eight because I missed two meteor beams in one set.
Oh, that sucks. That does
Um,
suck.
but I got Baxcalibur at the end. Um,
No,
i-
that's a good
insane
late
mon.
pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't need snow to be good. You know, you got priority, you have scale shot, you have dragon dance.
hmm
Yeah, just a good mon. I mean, a lot of teams you get to the end of the draft, you're like, fudge, I have an ice weakness, and like there you go.
Also, I will be running freeze dry on it. At least
What's
at
it,
some point.
what's his special attack?
Like 70. It's not
Oh, okay,
good.
I mean, good. I'm glad it's not great. I mean, definitely make me raise an eyebrow. But why did two of the best players in the league also have freeze drive for my walking weight, and I have to play them back to back. It's not fair.
But yeah, I did. I talked already about Oricorio and then Hippo.
Yeah. Yep.
Out of 4, comfortable using it. It's at sand. It can yawn. It can stealth rock. And also, its attack is not that bad. It
Yeah,
can
it's a solid
do
mon.
damage.
It did well for you in season 1, so I
Did
assume it'll
indeed.
do well for you in season 3.
I'm hoping so. All right. Do you have any critiques of my team? It's not a perfect team by any means. I can see some flaws, but I think it's better than a lot of people give it credit for. I think that a lot of the mons are it's gonna be harder to prep against.
I mean, I have things like to talk about. So I mean, you have hazards. I assume Everquill probably has poison spikes.
Yeah,
You have rocks. It probably has regular spikes too. So you got all your hazards. You get 2 forms of cleaning it up. You have spin blockers, speed.
it's not
I mean,
super
I think you
fast,
have.
but that's
It's
why
not
sticky
super
webs.
fast, and some of them require some setup, but I mean, it's fine. You got priority eye shard. You have I mean, Pump's got fake out, which is kind of priority, but it's already a fast mon. Switch initiative. It gets. I know Pump gets U-turn. Does Cinderace? I don't think it's U-turn. I think that's the big difference between it and Greninja.
It got U-turn in Sword and Shield, so I'd assume it
I
still
don't think it
gets it.
has it. I don't think it
Oh.
does, but you can. I mean, obviously check. But and then yeah, I mean, I think you hit most of the checkboxes. I mean, other than your team just being butt ugly to look at, I think it's a fine team.
It's so pink. It matches my logo.
It does. I'm ready to go on to the next one, so I can take this off my screen and look at something else.
Are you sure there's nothing else you want to talk about? I mean,
On to the Tarboro Tatsugiris, which has a very colorful team, and my eyes were dramatically feel better.
not rocking with the hot pink. That's okay.
I'm fine with hot pink. I would just like more color diversity with what I'm looking at. But anywho, Tatsugiris, they start off with a good mon, the other protein mon, ugly mon as well, but especially when it walks. But flower
I
trick,
think he's
knockoff,
cool.
it's spikes. It's not my dynamic, but I realize I'm not. There's different blokes, different folks, however that expression goes. But
Listen, it's not horny. I just really like jesters, and he's a jester cat. That's cool.
it's
He's a
fine.
magician.
It crosses the line a little bit, but there are definitely worse Pokemon that cross that humanoid like Eerie Valley. What's it called? Creepy Valley. What's it
Uncanny
called?
Valley.
Uncanny Valley. But it's a good mon. I mean, it's got a good switch initiative, super fast, can just hit crits whenever it wants to, knock off.
Hmm.
It's a cat, so it has triple axle. Nothing
Yep.
really bad to say about this thing other than if something surprise outspeeds it and hits it with a U-turn, then it's gonna be unhappy. But
Yep.
otherwise, it's a great mon.
I had it season 1.
Um,
I used it to great success,
yeah, it was
and
great up
never
until
did spikes a single time.
that mon was good up until the point where it got pickpocketed, right?
Yep. That was rough.
Let's see. He's got Empoleon. I don't think it has defog anymore. I could be wrong about that. I think it strangely has knockoff, which surprised me. But either way, he gets a water and a steel type right off the bat. So, it's got priority. I think it probably has stealth rock. So it's an interesting pick, but I don't think it's a bad pick.
Yeah, I like it a little bit more in VGC because it's defiant, and I think it's pretty cool.
Okay,
I guess you can still
that's
do it with.
competitive nowadays.
Or
So,
yeah, competitive. I meant not. It used to be defiant. Yeah, competitive.
yep.
Um, and so again, like if you switch in on a defog, you get a free +2 boost. That's pretty crazy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Galvantula, it's a Rambi light.
It was definitely outside of round 1. It was the only like thing I can remember that was like kind of a snipe for me.
Mhm,
So I was definitely kind of sad about it. But yeah, fast, sticky webs, accurate thunders.
mhm.
It's just it's good at what it does, and then it leaves, right?
And yeah, it'll hopefully spread some damage around with Thunder because Thunder's a strong move and it's got decent special attack. And then it'll
Mm-hmm.
die and you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the game. Um,
Yep.
it can also
Definitely a
Volt
lead
Switch, which
mon.
Rabombi can't do, which is
It's true. Switch initiative's
um,
always good. Especially
his
since
Rabombi
the
can
more basic
U-turn.
mon.
But
Oh, that's good. Hey, that's fine. You could be a special attacker and have U-turn. That's perfectly
mhm,
fine because U-turn's purpose is to get the switch initiative, not necessarily do
yeah.
damage. That's just an added bonus.
Hmm.
Um, so Amon he traded for. I think he had Infernip at one point, but he picked up Moltres. I think it was a
Yes.
great pickup for his team. He needed defensive core mons, which he didn't have before. Obviously, physical attackers don't want to hit a flame body mon, so this is a really good pickup for him.
Hmm.
We'll probably run heavy duty boots every set, and it'll probably be the same thing. It'll probably be Will-O-Wisp, Roost, insert fire move here, and I forgot the other one. Where was I? Regardless,
Uh, yeah.
pretty transparent, but it's good at what it does.
Hmm. I think Tentacruel is also one that he traded for
One
after
of
the
my
draft.
Yeah, it is, but and that was part of my influence. I love Tentacruel. I swear by this mon. It's got rapid spin. It's got knockoff. It's got toxic spikes. It has uh, moonblast. It's got Giga Drain. Obviously, it has its own stabs. It just does a lot. I think it's a good value pickup mon. If I didn't have two water types already, particularly already had a water poison type already, I would have picked it up. I love Tentacruel. Great pickup.
Uh, in Sword and Shield, in one of the like global challenges, I had a stick Tentacruel team. It was like a Tentacruel Sun team. It was awesome. It was the
Huh.
Choice Scarf Bulldoze Charizard. Uh, and you would bulldoze and then clear body would you a weakness policy. So you lower the opponent's speed and get your weakness policy up on Tentacruel, and it was sick. I like Tentacruel too.
It's
I
great.
built the team entirely because I caught a shiny Tentacool. It's like, oh, this is
Oh,
awesome. I want to use it.
As not. I think I like the regular better, but the shiny's still good. Got the green with the
It's
slightly
purple.
different blue. Yeah, purplish blue, whatever.
Hmm.
The Ursaluna again. I know they're good, but in my mind, it feels like a lot of the times you're trading one for one. You get in that big hit, and then you get whittled down pretty quickly because you're slow. But
Hmm.
I know it's a good mon. And I've done some testing with him already, and like there was one game where it got 2 kills. I'm like, okay, well this was valuable. Um, So like, but the I guess the rough thing about those both those Lunas in general is like a lot of mons can tech on grass knot.
Yeah,
So they might not be as bulky as they look. But it's fine. He didn't have a ground type, so it's okay. Um,
yeah, yeah. Being unable to Terra is kind of rough for them.
yeah. Uh,
Actually, on Latios, I mean, it does.
it's
It's
solid.
just it's the same thing as Latios, just a little bit weaker, right? It's same, like similar move
Well,
pool.
the big difference. All right. So I can name the differences because I had Latios in doubles. Um, it doesn't get flip turn, which Latios has, which I think is the
Hmm.
biggest differentiator. But Latios does get access to like fairy moves. I think it has Draining Kiss and Moonblast. I'm pretty
Alluring
certain.
voice for sure.
Um, yeah, so those are
I don't think it
great.
gets Moonblast. It doesn't get Moonblast, but it does get Alluring
Okay.
voice.
Oh, okay. That's 80 base power. We're missing 10 or so there, so that's fine. Actually, is it Moonblast like 95? Either way.
Isn't yeah 95
Um,
broken
yeah. So I
move.
mean, solid move pool. It has Bolt Beam. It's got solid stabs. The only thing it's missing that Latios really has over it is like the flip turn. But I think it's a really good mon. It gives him a levitator, and I think before we rearranged his team, he had a lot of like fighting weaknesses, and he still has fighting and ground weaknesses, I should say, or
Hmm.
and he still has a few. But you got the Moltres, you got the Latios, so that fixes that up a lot. So I
Hmm.
think it was a great pickup. Um, the Mimikyu, he drafted that originally. It gives him Ghost and Fairy, so check boxes at the very
Wait,
least.
actually, half of his team is fighting weak, and the other half is immune or resistant. That's really
Yeah,
fun. Not
it,
counting Weasel.
it, it was worse before. Um, but yeah, yeah. Regardless,
Literally
you
five
got
weaknesses
balanced
and
out.
five resists.
I still think if you're playing against him, you bring some good fighting moves for sure.
Hmm.
And maybe some good ground moves. So I do think that is inevitably still a problem for his team, but at least now he has at least some switch-ins for it.
Hmm. I mean, it is
Um,
guaranteed to be a fighting weakness. Um,
yeah. The Tauros I think is an excellent Terra Captain pick. It's just a strong mon. It gets sheer force. It's fast with 110 base speed. I know the
hmm.
Paldemon's only have 100. So I think it's a solid Terramon. I think I did have it at the end of season one's draft, but I immediately traded it because I had like Zapdos and Roaring Moon. I'm like, well, what is Tauros doing that these two aren't doing? So,
Yeah.
but I do think it's a good mon. And I think it fits well for his team, anyways. So I agree with it for Terra Captain. I don't remember the Terra types: normal, grass, fairy. I think fairy is very good. I don't remember
Does he get play
why
rough?
grass. I
He
don't
might get
think
play.
it
It
does,
looks like I'm on
but
that
either
could,
way,
but
fairy coverage is good. I mean, in fairy generally, you have the weakness to fighting, so you get to swap that out. So I think it's a fine typing. The grass, I don't remember why he went with that. That could have been maybe ghost or something. That might have been a little better,
hmm
but it's fine. Lycanroc
I really like
Midnight, he has.
Lycanroc as a Terra captain as well. I think that's
Yeah,
pretty.
okay. I'll let you
Uh,
talk about that because I'm not completely sold on it, but
yeah. So I mean, I think rock types in general are pretty good Terra captains because rock is pretty bad defensive typing, but it's like pretty good offensively. So being able to keep the
mhm.
stab of that is always just a good plan in my opinion. Um, as well as no guard. So it's one of the other Pokemon that gets to have a
Oh, that's
100%
true.
accurate
I made the
rock
joke
type move.
preseason to Kane because he got really frustrated. Season 2 obviously quit. But I said, man, you just need to pick moves that can't miss. And I said, I was like, who has no guard in this game? And I was like, oh, it's Golurk and Lycanroc.
Like,
And lo and behold, here's the Lycanroc. So I mean, it is a Kane mon because he likes to complain about luck. So yeah, you're right. You're not missing those stone edges.
yeah.
But
And
other
then
than that,
Weasel,
Sucker Punch was fine. And then yeah, the mascot pick, right?
former
I say
mascot.
that former mascot pick. Boy loves Weasel, so that's fine. 1 point mons, they're gonna be haha funny.
Oh,
Unless
next up, oh, yo, look at that. Next up, we got me again. We can go back to my screen. Wow.
yeah, I did slide it around. So I mean, just to recap his team there real quick.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
he's got hazards, he's got stick webs, he's got spikes. He's got toxic spikes. He's got rapid spin and tentacruel. That might be the only
It
hazard
is.
removal.
If Empoleon
I
doesn't
think it
get
is.
defog anymore, then yeah, that's the
I think
only.
so. I think that kind of makes Tentacruel have to come to every game, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I like Tentacruel, but it does like you do have a set amount of ground weaknesses, so you do have to like kind of
Mm-hmm.
pace yourself there. Overall, I think it's a very solid team. Um, just again, the fighting and ground weaknesses, even though you have good switch-ins now, maybe that could be toned down a little bit with some trades. But yeah,
Oh, and I didn't look at that. I see Appalachian Aggrons again. You get to look at the pink again. Wow.
I'm not clicking on it.
Uh,
You're the one looking at it. I'm clicking on MR. We can
Next,
wrap this thing up with the
we got the
Memphis
Memphis Riz.
Rizzlies. And speaking of Latios, that was his first pick. So
Mm-hmm.
everything we said before, minus the fairy moves, add flip turn, right? So very good
Mm-hmm.
mon. I had it in doubles and it did fantastic.
I will say, I don't know if Dave used his swing pick to the best effect
It's
ever.
like combos or
Yeah, it's like you can get to guarantee like synergies, and I don't think that really happened much. Um,
well, I mean, right
but
off the bat, you dabbed a double ghost weakness, which
mhm,
doesn't feel great.
and
And
fairy, and
then
the first three are all fairy weak.
oh,
I think
that's true. And
that's
two of
the
them are ice weak, and two of them are ghost
mhm,
weak. So I don't
yeah.
like that.
And I
Um,
think that he like kind of reached on some lower tier picks because he needed to cover for that fairy and ice weakness. So
Maybe the I know I assume the Tinglu was probably to counteract the ghost weakness, but you're right, it did kind of double up on the fairy weakness immediately as well.
and
So
ice. Um,
and ice, so yeah, maybe there'd been a better dark type to pick up there. I don't know what Tinglu does in singles other than being thick, but it doesn't have healing as far as I know. So then Kilowattrel, I know this is like kind of like Electrode is one of those ones that like someone did well a long time ago with.
mm,
And I think this was this was a little preemptive, I think, because he did have us move him out of the banned Terra section, and then lo and behold, he drafts it. So
yeah, I think
um,
that's fine. I don't know why that would have been a big Fantera. I think.
again, I think it's a historical thing. I think someone in a
Uh-huh.
past league did really well with it. Um,
I
I,
think that it should have been Terra Electric over Terra Flying because your opportunity cost of like what you're doing, even though like I think Electric's generally a better typing anyways, and you're not ground weak in the first place, so you don't have to worry about that. Um, as well as you would rather be using Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, I think, than Hurricane and missing.
oh my gosh, I have looked at my draft a few times, like what, Galarian Moltres would look pretty good, and I'm like, I look at or even Iron Jugulus because I'm like Dark type is
Hmm.
something that got nice, and I'm like, I don't want to have to pick between Hurricane and Air Slash.
Yep, that is
uh,
the poor or the unfortunate thing about special flying types outside of Tornadoes.
Yeah. So Yeah, I agree with you. I think that probably should have been electric, but ground's fine. Water is bulky, so those two are fine.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Blastoise
it's
being
Volt
the
Absorb, I believe, so you can go.
oh, does it? I
I
know it
think
has
so.
like the tailwind
It,
ability, but I didn't know
yeah,
it had full
Wind
absorb.
Power, Volt Absorb, and Competitive, I believe, are three abilities.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I
Um,
think Voltorb is probably the more common one that we'll see for this. So yeah,
mhm.
compare that with water, it gives only one weakness. So that's pretty good. Um, Blastoise, Rapid Spin, Aqua Jet,
Funny Shell
Tail
Smash.
Smash. Yeah.
Um,
Again, it was one of those ones I thought about until I had already two water types, and I'm like, oh.
yeah,
But
I was considering it, but it wouldn't have been for two more rounds. It was like on my board, but not super high.
I think
Um,
I think that Mon was a good pickup for how many points he was worth. So I agree with
mhm.
the Blastoise pickup for sure. It was 10 points, so just outside of Terra. So I think that was a good value spot for it. Um, I lost the page. What's next? Ogerpon.
Um,
There's the other Ogerpon. So first one went in round 2, and we didn't have another Ogerpon disappear until round. Oh, so I guess okay. So
Six.
this was drafted. This was drafted right before I got the stone Ogerpon.
Yeah,
So the same
so that was on
round.
the swing. Hmm.
Um, yep. Um, Obviously the fire one's amazing. You get obviously both fire and grass in one mon. So there's your fire, water, grass core again with quotation marks because you're
Offensively,
combining a type.
yeah.
But I mean, 100 power physical fire move is pretty. I mean, obviously flare blitz, I guess, but I mean it's a pretty solid option.
Mhm.
Um,
It can sword stance as well. I think it gets better mileage out of it because I think grass and fire is better offensive pairing than grass and water. Um, but
yeah, water's more of a bulk. But the
mhm.
yeah, just like every other Ogerpon, it's got spikes. Oh, I didn't mention this on the other Ogerpon pages. I didn't realize when I drafted it, but Ogerpon has U-turn, which I love, so that's
Mhm.
great. Um, cool mon, good move pool. Not much to say about it that we haven't said already about Ogerpons, other than this one's fire. So,
Yep.
um, and then I think a pretty good fairy type, bulky Sylveon gets a little wish support if you really want to, but otherwise she's probably gonna be looking to come in and hit things hard with heavy hyper voice.
Yeah, it's the problem with Sylveon, especially in singles. It's like it's pretty slow and it's not that bulky. Like, people talk about it like it is. I think people because it's bulkier than like Gardevoir or something along the same like of a special attacking fairy type, but it's really not like great. Um,
I mean, it's 95 HP and then 130 special defense. I mean,
yeah, the special
special
defense is
sneak.
good, but physically
Yeah.
it's not there.
Well,
um,
I mean, if you look at physical, then you can look at his next spawn, which is the
or yeah.
Iron Defense Body Press Reggie Steel.
Hmm. Um, I think this is another one. I thought it was a little too expensive, so I wasn't like considering it. But it's a pretty good mon. I everybody kind of
Was
knows.
it was 8 points. That's pretty economical.
Yeah,
You
I
could
would have
have
taken it probably for like five or six. I'm not.
now.
I'm pretty low on Reggie Steel to be totally honest.
The
Um,
question was, is it it was it Teraband, and I don't remember. I think it was. Yeah, it was Teraband. So that makes sense,
mhm.
I suppose.
um, yeah,
Okay.
it's a. I don't love the archetype of Iron Defense Body Press, but it's pretty good.
I like
It's pretty good at it.
I
So
like it on Como because you have options. Like your opponent
yes,
doesn't know
I
you're gonna do
agree.
it.
Reggie Steel does not have
Um,
options. You know what Reggie Steel
yeah,
is going to do.
exactly. And that, yep, you said it perfectly. Yeah, I like having options. You don't want to be predictable in draft. So,
Hmm.
um, but I do feel like at this point in his draft, he's like checking off typings, right? So like you got your fairy type, you got your steel type, and now you got your toxic spikes clean up with the poison type. I think does normal muck also get knockoff?
I would think so. I think that their move pools are pretty similar.
I think the
Um,
difference with this one is it gets shadow sneak, which is nice.
mhm.
You get a little priority.
I think Muck is again pretty bad.
It's
I
fine.
do not.
I mean, it
Uh,
it's cleaning up spikes. There are definitely are worse poison types, but yeah, it's not getting any glowing reviews or anything for
mhm.
sure.
And then this is where I the draft kind of loses me. Sylveon a little bit. I don't love it, but it's fine. Registeel again, it's fine. Muck I think is not fine. I think this is where it's like okay, this is you are just taking like Pokemon for the types, and for something like
Mhm.
just cause just um I think that Crocalor doesn't fit very well in this team. I like it as a mon in a vacuum, but I don't think it is. that good on
Yeah, I
here.
mean, we saw Glist use it really well in season
Hmm.
1, but I mean, he already has Ogrepon, which he's probably going to want to bring to most of his games
Yeah.
anyways. So like the double down on fire seems strange. I mean, it is an unaware mon, I guess.
Hmm. But and it has EV light and it has recovery. Um,
Yep,
but, eh.
it's a
Um,
good mon, but yeah, I agree, it doesn't quite fit because he has the Ogrepon. But again, unaware might come into play some week. He might want that, so
mhm. Then Alolan
it's fine.
Golems is bad. It's just
Yeah, I
terrible.
don't. I don't know what it does. I don't know how many points it was. Let me look.
It's
But
probably
it was
like
like two.
two.
It's two. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was a
Um,
2-pointer. I'm not hitting on it.
yeah.
Same thing with the last one. I mean, at least the last one could put up sticky webs.
Hmm.
But
No, I actually think a Cutify is pretty good for one. You just put a focus sash on it, put a sticky webs, and it has a job.
it did a job. Alolan Golem, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't think Alolan Golem is ever doing a job. I don't think Muck is ever doing a job either. Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can have spikes, the toxic spikes. But that's about it. The
your team isn't even like
so I mean,
that weak to toxic spikes is a thing. You can play around it relatively well. 'Cause you got
two
two.
flyers.
Um,
Probably. I mean, if he runs heavy duty boots, Blastoise, then maybe that's fine
mhm.
too. Um, the
And you have a steel type. Is immune, but
So, but I mean, all right. So I mean, to recap, though, he's got hazard removal. I don't know if he's got. I don't know if Kilowatcher gets defog. It might, but at least has rapid spin. Um, Offensive threats. Latios is fast. Ogrepon's fast, but 110 when I say fast.
mhm.
He is kind of missing that higher echelon of speed. Um,
Yeah,
the
I
Annihilate
think
is
Cutie Fly might be
good,
the
but
second fastest mon on his team. Actually, I think
oh
it's
god,
111. Um,
is it really? That's fast.
it's really fast. It's all of its stats are there.
What? Oh no, I'm sorry. Kilowatcher was like 126 or something,
It is
wasn't it?
it's
And then like
120.
okay, so there's his higher speed echelon. So never mind.
Hmm.
So that's fine. Um, he's got heavy hitters. Well,
He has a
he
lot of
has
things at the
three heavy
similar
hitters.
speed tiers, which I think is not going to work out very well. Um,
Makes it easy to invest your points if you're the
mhm.
opponent. Um, Defensive core. Like he's got defensive mons, but outside of Sylveon, I guess Sylveon and Crocklore can heal. Um,
Hmm.
but that's the one things about Blastoise is like he's gonna get worn down unless you get a wish pass to him.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess that I mean it's a okay team. I'm not gonna say it's certainly not. I'd say it's probably maybe middle of the road ish.
Yeah. I think the top six are well. I don't even know if the top six are that. I'm
They
not
don't.
in love
The
with it.
typings don't synergize. Yeah, it's the typings don't match up well, I guess. But
Yeah, but it's not. It's not the worst team. They're definitely. I think that there are. Does. It is pretty strong at what it does when it. Yeah, offensively at least. Um,
mhm.
and I think it has an identity with that. Of
I
at
could
least
see
like.
like the team could go up in value. I think maybe if the Tinglu role gets swapped out for a different dark type, maybe if
Hmm.
there's a good one left. Oh, Moltres is left, but I don't know. There could be something to swap out. So we'll
Hmm. I
we'll
think
see.
it would
I
have
think that
liked
would help.
King Gambit in that slot, but that was taken.
Well, that's true. That was taken before I got back to him because that was a round
Hmm.
3 pick. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yep. 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 Yep.
All right. Well, that's the league. I can zoom out a little bit. You can
Yeah.
look at
2.5 hours of chit chat.
yeah. Only a little bit of tangents. But it's okay.
That's
Uh,
fine. That's fine. Last time we broke this up into two halves, that was probably healthier for us, but we knocked it out. It's a good talk.
yep.
I think we were pretty good analysis there.
Yep. I think so. Um, any closing thoughts? Any predictions
Uh,
for final for who you think's gonna make finals?
who do I think is going to make finals? I don't even know if it's going to be me. Like I said, I'm trying a bunch of new stuff. I mean, I always want to like go towards like the proven players, not necessarily the teams. So like obviously you and Trey usually do really well. Um, Looking at the teams, uh, I have the teams page pulled up right now, but
Hmm.
let me look. Let me look. I mean, I'd like to get there, but we'll wait and see how well I figure out how to use this team. Um, if the rain team is piloted well, it could do some stuff. It is a little predictable, like we said, so it really depends on his opponents. Um, I think Gulpins are solid. I could see them doing well. Um, Cyclizar is your buddy. I think he's got a solid team. I think he could do really well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think outside of you and Trey, I would go with Grifton Gulpin and the Carolina Beach Cyclizar.
I also had the Carolina Beach Cyclizar. I think that team's really good. And then I think um, probably probably Trey. I'm gonna be honest, but then I think if with a few changes, I think the Winterville Weaviles could be there. But as it is right
Hmm.
now, I'm not going to claim that. I think Chicago Beartics is probably the next one. If I'm not gonna pick Trey. Um,
Yeah, it's solid. It's very solid. The it's I think his team is a lot like mine, where it's got like a lot of pieces, and we're gonna have to see how they play out and fit together.
mhm. But all right, that'll be all for today. Uh, thank you guys for watching.